All right, guys, we are live. It is Friday evening and it is Rick's hour. So, those of you who don't know me, my name is Rick Ginn and I am the Rick in Flip with Rick. Everybody, you guys know my son, Zach Ginn, and we have formed together to form the only free platform to actually teach you wholesaling from wholesalers that run a seven-figure business and do this full time. So, if you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor. Let me see here. Click that subscribe button. Also, if you can hit and smash that like button, it really helps the algorithm reach out to more people like you looking for real content that's going to work, where you don't have to stick a credit card in for every piece of dang information you need to get. So, once again, I am Rick. It is Friday evening at 5:05 Standard Eastern time. So if you guys are asking if I'm live, but guys, use the comment section to connect. To connect with like-minded investors. Once again, make sure you vet everybody. Most people are here for the exact same reason, but occasionally we get some people in that just chronically want to complain and do other things like that. But I know it's not you. So here are some rules to the show. We have a link for a free mastermind. I'm going to do about a 15-20 minute segment. We're going to learn all about wholesaling options. If you want to jump on a mastermind and get help, I don't care if you've never done a deal or if you've done 1,000. If you want some help, you want some advice, I will point you in the right direction. But you got to be honest and truthful with me. Otherwise, the information is useless. And we have to talk about solutions. We can't sit here and just complain about the problem. So, without further ado, you guys got to get a short week. I know 4th of July went off like a firecracker. What's up, Corey? What's up, Chris? What's up, Teresa? What's up, Brandon? Guys, that's the one part about these lives like I hate, because I can't see the other people on the other side. So that's why I really like to do the masterminds. But guys, we have got to get pumped up. We got excited. Let's get into it.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and they got go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
All right, guys, that's it. So if you go, what the heck was that I just saw? It's just a crazy little video me and Zach had created for wholesaling. And the idea is, number one, you want to do this so you can get freedom for yourself, you first, then you get it financially for you and your family, and then you get it for everybody that surrounds you. And guys, the last thing I want you to do is be miserable doing it. So I've been doing wholesaling 20 years. I enjoy every minute of it, and I'm here to help you. So without further ado, if you guys are just jumping on, yes, we're live. The really cool thing is recorded. So if you miss something, just hit that replay button on YouTube, and it will be all right there for you. So I get a lot of people asking me, hey, Rick, tell me this thing about lease options, and I hear you can wholesale them. So I'm here to tell you, lease options have been around forever. This is not new. It wasn't even invented in the last 20 years I've been doing it. This technique's been around since the 60s and the 70s. Actually, even further than that in commercial applications. So everything I'm going to teach to you, I would like to take full credit for you, but it's been around forever. If you ever find a 70s or 80s textbook, I'm talking about book, at a garage sale or anything like this, you will find lease options as the predominant investor tool. You know why? Because do you know what happened in the late 70s, early 80s? Absolutely, like just pandemonium with banks and mortgage rates and inflation. And so I thought this was a really good time. Me and Zach thought this would be a great time to kind of go into. I've taught people how to do lease options forever. I do them, Zach do them, we do them in our business. But here's the really cool part. It is part of our wholesale tool chest, meaning we don't really do anything different to do it. You just got to understand how they work. And they're actually, I'm here to tell you, they're beyond simple. So the only added little twist to them is we've learned how to wholesale lease options. So I think this is a perfect marriage. If you guys are curious about learning this, you've either started in wholesaling or you're just getting started now, I promise you, this won't take more than 20, 30 minutes. I'll walk you through it and then let me know what you think. And then you can jump in and put it in your tool belt. So if you guys jump on, I take everybody in the order we get. I promise you, if you get in line, just wait there. And I don't care if I see your face or not. It doesn't really matter to me. It's completely up to you. So I can see you. You guys can see me. The whole idea here is to be completely transparent. So let's jump into it. So I'm going to take about 20 minutes. And after that, we are going to jump in through questions. Now, there is no dumb question. Don't get me wrong. But if you keep asking the same question the guy before you asked, then it kind of becomes like a repeated question and we don't get anything done on the channel. So ask a question, because I promise you, if you have the question, 1,000 other people have the exact same question. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So how do we wholesale lease options? And I'm here to tell you, this is going to be even so the word wholesale lease options already in there. So all you guys understand how to wholesale. So I'm not even going to teach you that part. I'm just going to teach you the lease options and how it marries to your wholesale operation. And you're going to be surprised with like some of the stuff, especially if you've never seen it before. So listen, when it comes to real estate, there are basic rules. And here, this rule will never change. I don't care where you are in the world. I've been all over the world, and I'm telling you, when you buy a piece of real estate, you have the option of getting the best price possible or the best terms possible. Okay? The person who tries to go into the middle usually screws the deal up really bad. So if we're wholesalers, guys, put in the comments here, if we're wholesaling, which of these two are we looking for? I'm not even going to answer it. The predominant answer should come out. If we are wholesaling, are we focused on price or are we focused on terms? Predominantly. I know sometimes it's a little bit of a mix, don't get me wrong, but you've got to understand the key difference in these phrases. So let me know. I'll wait for the comments. So Brandon's got it right. Facebook Stu's got it right. It's price. So how do we shift from a mind where all we do is focus on getting discounted price and moving them fast to another cash buyer? We're going to do the reverse when we do wholesaling on lease options. And I'm going to show you how this works. So when we do lease options, we don't ignore price, but we never fight price, because you already know the price is probably going to be stupid. Okay. You've got to get the sellers so focused on price that they'll bend over backwards for you on terms. Okay. If you understand that in lease options, it's great. The reason I'm going to show you how you can take a wholesale deal and pivot at the end if you flat out cannot make a wholesale deal work. It doesn't work for everyone, but I'm telling you, I've done hundreds of these and they've saved a lot of deals for me. And I'm here to tell you, it's actually simpler, it's faster, and it's actually less complicated than raw wholesaling itself. But in my opinion, I love wholesaling first. So I always go in with my wholesale cap first. Okay. So a lease option is nothing more than the ability to control a property with a simple lease agreement, which AKA is also the same as a rental agreement, that gives you the option to purchase the property for a set given price at the end of the rental, AKA the lease. That's it. You can spin this however you want. I'm here to tell you guys, that's all a lease option is. And the really neat part is all you're doing in wholesaling lease options is you're wholesaling the actual lease. So those of you that are familiar with wholesaling, is you're going to wholesale the contract. Your lease is your contract. That's what you're selling. That's it. That's all you're selling when you do it. Okay. So I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I want to get it out and help out as many people as I can. So why wholesaling lease options? Why? I'm here to tell you they are actually counterintuitive to the typical properties you're going to do in traditional wholesaling. Why? And I repeat this, you might want to make a note on this. I will only do lease options on really nice homes in really nice areas. They do not work in war zones, hoods, very, very low priced properties because the people can never really buy the house. So it becomes a problem. So why nice homes, nice areas? Because we attract a higher paying client and we need to get someone to eventually qualify for a loan. If you go into really low neighborhoods, you're going to struggle on those. Okay. Remember, terms, not price, is the game. You have to understand this. It is a huge pivotal thing. And I know I'm probably confusing you. He's talking about lease options. He's talking about wholesaling. Today, we're talking only about one strategy, how to wholesale lease options. Okay. So you're focusing on terms. And remember, this is a tool you can use in your wholesaling business. Okay. The idea of teaching you this is if you hit a seller that is 100% focused on price and they will never move off of it and they're never going to take a deep discount, you might want to consider this option. Okay. And guys, it's actually really simple. The problem is you're not going to get rich on doing this alone and you're never going to retire on this technique. But if you add it in there, you can make some nice extra income. So here's probably one of the biggest questions I get from any investor. Why would a seller ever consider a lease option? Well, I want you to think about this. They never start off thinking, hey, I want a lease option. And to be honest with you, it is never a predominant thought in a seller's mind. It comes because something didn't happen in their life. So I want you to think about this. A lease option is the same thing. It technically is. You hear the word rent to own a lot. Okay. And the word rent to own means I'm going to rent it, build my credit, maybe pay it down a little bit. In the end, I want to buy it and own it. So you can use the word rent to own. For some reason, the general public, if you explain to a seller, would you consider like a rent to own option? They understand that much more than a lease option. So I'm giving you a little bit of training. I don't use the word lease options with sellers because they have no idea what it means. Okay. So typically I'll use the word rent to own and then I'll explain it deeper from there. Lease option usually just freak people out and scare them. Okay. So that's a terminology you got to understand. So why would they consider a lease option? Most of the time, you ready for this? They have tried the realtor route and it's failed them miserably. Okay. So guys, we're in a current market cycle right now where listings they're getting a little more stagnant. I know depending on what part of the part of the country you're in, but most of the time, all, if not 100% of mine have come from what I call a tired listing. What's a tired listing? A property that's just not moving on MLS. Okay. Remember, when somebody puts a property on market, they are dead set on selling it, but sometimes they put in like ridiculous numbers and it doesn't work from that. Let's see here. Unbelievable. Okay. So also a seller that only focuses on a full price offer is perfect for this. So if it's sat on the MLS for a while and they will only take their full price offer, I promise you, you can find people that fall in this category. Guys, I'm telling you, like the last 3 years, almost everyone's fallen in this category other than the tired listing part because everything flew off the shelf. Okay. So let's talk about the parts, the wholesaling lease options, because you're probably thinking, this is going to be way too confusing. I'm telling you, it's super simple. Okay. Number one, you have a lease agreement. If you don't know what a lease is, it's a fancy word for a rental agreement. Don't let anyone ever talk you up about it. So, I just hate when people spam on this thing. Like, go ahead, people, post your stuff, like self-promotion. That's really cool. The second part of it is what they call a lease option agreement. Okay. So it's a combination of two agreements. One's the rental agreement. Everybody knows a rental agreement, typically 12 to 24 months. and then you have an option agreement. Okay. Options have been around since the churn of time, hundreds and hundreds of years, even before this country was established. Okay. An option is exactly what it says. It basically says they pay you a sum of money. It can be as little as $10. I typically pay 100, by the way. And then in X amount of time, maybe 60 months or 5 years, if I left you $100, I have the option to buy this property for a predetermined price at the end. What happens if I don't buy it? Nothing. It expires. You lose that money and you move on. I love option agreements. I think they're really smart. They work well. And for a certain type of seller, they absolutely love them. Now, here's the key when you do these. The two documents have to be completely independent of each other. You know why? Because some cute gurus decided, let's blend the documents. We'll make it perfect. And guess what? They got challenged in court. If you blend the documents, the courts feel you confuse the new buyer, and it gives them equitable interest in the property. And whatever you thought you were collecting in rents, the courts will assume towards payment on the house. So make sure you have two separate documents. They're not co-tied to each other. There's no monies mixed with each other. The most important thing I can tell you from all the court cases is you have to have two documents when using this technique: lease agreement, lease option agreement. Okay, so the parts of the wholesaling. There is one more. So the additional part, which we add to wholesaling, is the assignment of a lease agreement. Guess what? It's very similar to your regular wholesaling assignment. It's just an assignment of lease. Okay, guys, you can Google the heck out of it. You don't even need it from me. If you go to freewholesaling.com, I'll put it up there this weekend. But I'm here to tell you, it's just an assignment of lease, just like you would have an assignment of contract. Okay. So Steve asked, hey, Rick, is this like subject to? And it's kind of funny with Steve. Steve, I'm digging your avatar. I'm not sure if that's some, anyways, is it like subject to? Subject to is a separate strategy. That's when you take over someone's actual mortgage payment. So like a lease option, honestly, is not a subject to. So you want to be very different. A lot of things are similar, but it is not a subject to. So you do not want to use the word subject to when you do lease option. It is incorrect. And a subject to is a bit more complex than that. Okay. The idea is we're going to get in, we're going to do a lease option, and then we're going to sell our interest in that lease. That's it, guys. We're getting in, we're getting out. I'm teaching you the simple strategy of that. Okay. So you'll have an assignment of a lease, and then the final document that is required that typically you don't record, but your new buyer is going to record, and you can help them with this, is a recording of memorandum of option. Some people bypass this step. For you to have a legal option agreement, you have to make it in public record for you to have an equitable interest in the property. If you're quick churning these properties in a week or two, I wouldn't record them. And then what I do is I give it to my seller and I let them know that they have to record it, because they're going to have problems if they don't record it when they go to close out and buy the property. So there's only 4 elements involved in an entire all the parts to wholesaling a lease option: the lease agreement, the option agreement, the assignment of the lease, and then a recording of a memorandum. Remember, you're not doing that. Your new buyer's doing it if you're quick churning these properties. So let's keep moving. I promise you we're halfway through. This is easy. Okay. So the biggest question you got to have is, Rick, how do I locate sellers that will do a lease option with me that I can wholesale? And I'm running through this quickly. Number 1, rental ads. They are the best ones. Why? They're vacant, they're ready for rental, and they're looking for a long-term renter. 9 times out of 10, they will easily do that. You guys can go through all your Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Google, whatever you need to do. I like to use Zillow too. And if you want like a free lead service, you will have to go through a lot of them. I will walk you through the script in a moment on what to do with them. Okay. Expired listings. We've already talked about that. Okay. I'm going to break it down. There's segments of so expired listings for sure. Those are listings that never sold. There's a new wave coming up, all the new stuff that's going on. Anything that's on the market 60 days plus. Some people like 90 days plus. I would start at 60 because sometimes these are longer conversations. They are pretty much open to a solution because what are they doing? They're trying to get a property sold. They don't have any buyers. Either they got the price right or there's something wrong with the house and they don't want to make payments anymore. They're looking for a solution for it. So, which ties us into realtors. I will tell you in lease options, you will deal with a lot of realtors. Just deal with it. The worst case scenario, if they bring you a buyer, you just build it in your equation and make somebody else pay for the realtor. Okay. I do not fight realtors on lease options. If a realtor is not open to a lease option, just move on. Like you will never convince them to do it. I promise you, it's really hard to convince them to do it. Okay. So as my rule with realtors, either they're on board or they're not. Like, don't beat it to death. Okay. So let's talk about the conversation with the seller who wants to look at a lease option. Number one, we're looking for a seller that's asphyxiated on price. Do you guys know any sellers like that? There's a lot of them. Okay. Unfortunately, it's the rule. Okay. Here's the really cool part. The whole premise of doing a lease option is you don't really negotiate or asphyxiate on price. Honestly, now I will predicate this. The price has to be reasonable. Okay. It can't be $100,000 over the list price, over the market price. So run a comp on it, make sure it's close. If it's a little bit over, it's no big deal. Like you don't negotiate. By you not negotiating with the seller is going to give you the room for you to negotiate the terms. You're not negotiating price, you're negotiating terms. Okay. In the beginning, I do not get into how much they owe on their mortgage, what their payment is. I don't care about any of that stuff. Okay. Number two, accept and realize you are the backup plan. End of story. You are the backup prom date. You are the one waiting in the wings if this guy or gal doesn't work out. It is the norm. I'm here to tell you when someone goes, well, can I think about it? Or can I just wait like another month? Give it to them. Their problem's not going to get solved. It's only going to get worse. And their motivation will go up and you'll probably even get more favorable terms. So if someone tells you they want to wait, we're doing the opposite when we do the whole thing. Like, take your time. I've got all day. I've got other houses to buy. If I don't have any money left, I'll call you later. Okay. Sometimes they just need to stoke. So if you hit a listing at 60 or 90 days, that's why some people like to do the 90 days because they can cut out that 30 days of drama. Okay. Last but not least, your sellers have to be completely on board. You cannot trick somebody into a lease option. They have to fully understand what you're doing. And you go, Rick, do we tell them what we do? 100% I tell them what I do. Okay. I basically tell them, I put together a lease option on your property and I have qualified buyers ready to step in and take action on it. And they say, how do you get paid? Don't worry. The new buyer pays me. You don't pay it. And here's where I get them really excited. Number one, you're going to net more than you actually were going to net with your realtor. Number two, you're not going to pay any commissions unless there's a realtor involved. Number three, you'll absolutely have no closing cost. And number four, we can get this going right now. And 9 times out of 10 to say, listen, Rick, how can we get started right away? The really cool thing is people that choose to do lease options, they go quick. They want it done. They don't want to think about it. Now, I will tell you, if the house is vacant, you typically have a much higher success rate. So I try to focus on houses that are empty and have a low equity position. In wholesaling, all we do is sit there and fight for high equity stuff. So that's what you're looking for when you do that. I promise you we're moving through this, okay? Giving the seller the full price in exchange for your terms, your full price is your hook in lease options, okay? So many people, you got to go through a $3,000 to $5,000 course to find out this is the secret sauce. The secret sauce is because you don't fight the price, but you're going to attack the terms. And that's how we do it, okay? So it completely flips your conversation upside down with sellers. And I want you to understand it. You're not going to do this on everyone. Just every now and then it comes up and it's a great shot at doing this. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we discussed this. So wholesaling lease options walk to the math on the buy side. Okay. Your full price offer, if they even have an open mind, I'm telling you, it's like candy to your sellers. They drool for it. They go, absolutely, that'll be great, because they start doing math in their head and they get really excited. Now, in exchange for getting terms, getting their price, they're giving you the terms, so they got to give you some leeway to get some things done. So what does the seller get in return? Well, typically, if they're paying, say, $1,000 a month on their mortgage, if you're going to sell your option to move on with it, typically you're going to set that price a little bit higher. So the seller's going to get probably, I don't know, maybe a couple $100 more a month while they're waiting for the new buyer to cash it out. So they get higher cash flow. Okay. Once again, seller pays no cost, no commissions, closings. It solves their problem immediately, which is why most people will take a lease option, because they're sick of thinking about it. Now, here's the key. Here's the distinction on wholesaling. Wholesaling lease options focused on short-term rentals. Why do you guys think that is? Why would they focus on short-term rentals? Because you're trying to induce the seller to take your deal quickly, and they want to get cashed out sooner than later. Okay. Now, if I'm going to do what we call a sandwich, we call it the sandwich method, which we stay in the deal, it's completely different. And we are talking about wholesaling lease options. Okay. So if you have a short-term rental, keep in mind, are you there to deal with it when the property comes up in 12, 18, or 24 months? No, your new buyer is. So it's the buyer that's going to deal with it. So you make it smaller. Why? To make it more attractive for your sellers, so you can do more of these deals. If you're going to stay in the deal and do like a self-financing, what we call a wraparound, it would be different. You would probably drag it out 5 to 7 years. I'm going to do a whole nother video on that one. We're talking about wholesaling. So the really cool part is they're getting full price and they're getting a short-term rental, 12 to 24 months max. Okay. Most buyer goes, well, I can wait 12 months to get that because I'm going to make like $40,000 more. And they're willing to take that risk to do that. Guys, I'm telling you, the sellers know exactly what you're doing. They're all along for the ride. You have to do the work, though. Okay. They're just there to cash the check. Okay. Now, your price, you should get in the property at 1% or less of whatever you're buying for it. You've got to remember this rule, because this is where people really screw up. Okay. Now, I can tell you more than 60% of the lease options I do, I give them $100 or less, because I'm giving them such an attractive price. And if I do a short-term lease, then they're willing to wait. The longer you make the terms, the more they're going to demand up front for you, because they feel like it's riskier. Okay. So if I'm doing a lease option for a $200,000 property and you have to induce the seller with some money, the most you're going to pay him is $2,000. Okay. You've got to understand, you cannot pay more than that 1%, because remember, when you're wholesaling lease options, you're in it to make a profit. You cannot speculate with these deals. Okay. Now, the really cool thing is you will never, ever make repairs to these properties other than a cleanup. You are not in the rehab business. You don't touch these at all, other than sending in a cleaning person and maybe an AC maintenance person. That's it. Okay. So little to no competition using this technique. Very few people do this because they think it's complicated, and it's not. You are just taking advantage of a vacant house that somebody wants to sell that's not meeting their expectations. You're going to cover that gap. You're going to take a fee, and you're going to find a buyer that will step in your place. Okay. So let's look at on the sell side. Why would anyone want to buy a lease option from you? Well, I'm here to tell you, if you've ever gone to the bank to get a mortgage, banks like to give loans to people that actually don't need them. The bank tries to bury me in loans. I use them for the effective assets I buy, but I don't need a loan for most of the stuff I buy. Okay. The people that really need a loan, they don't get it, either because of their history, their credit, and this is how it works. So non-bank qualifying is your hook when you sell these properties. If you don't believe me, test it out. Put a property in the market and put non-bank qualifying. I've typically get 50 to 75 leads within a couple hours. It's unbelievable how many people need help with this. It is a voided market, meaning nobody's there filling the space. Nobody wants to take the risk. Remember, you're wholesaling the lease options, so you're fulfilling a niche space, and this is why it works so well. So what does the buyer get in return other than not having to go through the ridiculous dance you have to do with the bank? Okay. They get speed. Okay. A lot of these people have families, they have kids, they want to get them in a good school district. Remember, nice homes, nice areas, right? We're not going in the hood-ridden properties. And they go, listen, I need a place in the next week. You can fulfill that with a nice home in a nice area and a house that doesn't need rehab. Okay. Once again, on our buyers, we explain like ridiculously what we're doing. Here's what I do. I find people with vacant houses that can't sell them right away. And then basically I work into an agreement where I'm going to find a buyer, and the buyer has 12 or 24 months to cash them out. And you're going to pay me a fee for doing this. And most people go, absolutely. Here's the really cool part. That fee, which is your assignment, is 100% like negotiable. I've got as high as $30,000, as I got as low as $500 doing these deals. If you find like a premium property that's in high demand, you can set your price for whatever people are willing to pay you. So, so what do they pay you? Typically 5%. Okay. If you have higher end homes, if it's near the water, has something special, I've seen it go as high as 10%. Okay. So I want you to understand that. And here's the really cool thing. The buyer handles everything from the day you assign it. You're done. It's just like your wholesale deals. If you get a $5,000 check, they give it to you. You assign the lease over, and it's up to them to fill the rest of the obligation of that. Now, I want them to cash out the homeowner and make it work. Okay. They have money on the line. They want to make it work. But the idea is you can do these over and over again. Now, I don't go out and chase lease options. And I'm going to share a little secret with you. I've gone out and chased lease options. I've done vacant homes with low equity with people that have owned 3 years or less. Every time I do that marketing program, we're buried for months. It's so like it's the opposite effect you have in traditional wholesaling. So if you want to tap this market, I'm here to tell you it works. So let's go over a couple rules on this. Okay. Locating lease options. Okay. I've already said 60 plus days on MLS or expired listings. So do 60 or 90 days, but anything past 60 is fine. Network with realtors, man. They get problem properties all the time. The realtors just want to know they're going to get paid. Okay. The problem is when the realtor tries to explain this process to the seller, they usually screw it up. So make sure you're involved in that. And once again, calling the for rent ads on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Zillow, any FSBO sites. Those houses are vacant. They're looking for renters. And here's the simple ad copy I use when I cold call them. I said, listen, I see your rental here. It looks really nice. How long are you looking to rent it for? They're like, and they all say the same thing. I would love to get a long-term renter. If I could get you a long-term renter, would you consider us being able to buy it at the end of that rental? And if they say yes, I go on and explain what I do. That's it. That's all you do. It's really not, it's not even a sales pitch. Most people would like, I love having renters for 2 years in my rentals too. It's like one less thing I got to deal with. So use that like little line when you cold call them. Any for rent signs, any of that stuff, it works really well. You do have to make a lot of phone calls to do it. Okay. And here's the really cool part. 9 times out of 10, most of these deals are taken down over the phone. Eventually we do a property inspection to make sure it all works out. But most of these properties are already online on MLS. So it's really not complicated. You can get all the pictures online, whatever you need. Okay. So let's talk about buyers for your lease options. They don't qualify for a traditional mortgage. You got to make sure they have good, stable income and a good job history. Okay. You can pull their credit. It's going to suck. So remember, your job is to help them out and give them full disclosure of what they're buying. And if you don't think they're qualified to do it, you've got to do the right thing. We always talk about this in wholesaling, and you're going to have to do a credit profile on them. So if you're not comfortable doing that, you can actually have somebody in the mortgage business or somebody in the credit business pull it for you. And then the idea is I usually refer them to a credit repair person when I close my deal out to make sure they live up to their end of buying the property. So, all you have to do is remember this one simple rule in wholesaling lease options. Okay. They're actually really not hard at all. They're very short conversations and they're simple. Use the 1 to 5 rule. Okay. Don't give the seller more than 1% and always ask for 5% or more when you go to sell for your assignment agreement. If you do that, you will always be in a positive cash flow. If you're going to give the seller like wild numbers, like 10 or 20 grand for an option, you could get in trouble really, really quick in this business. So if you're doing the wholesaling method, the 1 to 5 ratio, it's always saved. It's always worked for me. And that's why I tell you, I go ask 1%. And by the way, I don't always give 1%, but a lot of times they work out to be about 1% to induce them to enter into the deal. Okay. Remember, guys, if you're like, okay, well, Rick, there's some risk, there's risk, but remember, your seller is willing to wait to get more money in their pocket, and they understand there's a risk if the deal doesn't close, but they're covered in their payments. They get some sort of option fee up front, and they understand if that seller doesn't work out, they move on and they just relist the house. Remember, the house is still in the original seller's name. It's never in your name. And so this isn't going to be an effect on it. So guys, I use this in my regular wholesaling business. Let me pull this off of here. And it works real well. It's not predominant. I don't do a ton of them because I don't really need to do them. But when I was struggling for deals, I did this stuff all the time. Sometimes I had a seller, he was in another state. He was stuck on a price. And then I would just go find someone that wanted to take over my lease option. And I just charge them a fee for it. I've paid people for lease options. I love them. I think they're absolutely amazing. Hold on one second, guys. Got my dog in the studio, so I'm dealing with that. So that's it, guys. I tell you, wholesaling lease options is like really great. And here's the funny part is I did them for the first 5 years in the business, and I didn't even wholesale them. I didn't wholesale them at all. I did traditional wraparound. It was a lot of work. And once I discovered how to do this, I go, man, that is a great option to do that. And I love doing it. So guys, if you want to jump on the live, I got a long line here. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and get started. If you want to get on, jump on. I promise you, I will help you out real quick. The 1% is not a down payment. It's an option fee. It's really, really that simple. Okay. And if you guys want to join the live, if you go to the top of the comments, I promise you everything's in there and we'll get you started and get you going. Go over to Wholesaling Houses for Real. And let me see if that link should work. Let's see here. Yeah, it'll pop up there. So let me jump on. Hold on. I got to pull that one off there. So guys, give me some love on the like button there. Corey, you there?
Yeah, how's it going, Rick?
I'm about to kill a dog, but other than that, I'm good.
Oh man, good. So, I really enjoyed this topic.
I got one of those like really old dogs, and he requires constant care. But like we rotate him in the family, so sometimes I take him to the office and I regret it. So, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Just doing deals and stuff. I really enjoyed this topic here. It actually kind of goes along with a deal I was wanting to talk to you about. It's kind of a situation. I'm unsure on how to structure this, but this topic just so happened to kind of play along perfectly with this. So I got a couple questions about the lease options here, and then I'll get in and we'll talk a little bit about the deal that I'm working on now. I don't want to take up too much time here. So
I got it. Shoot, man.
One of the questions I had is, from my understanding of this, it sounds like you're profiting off of a premium on that option fee when you assign it to your buyer. Is that correct? You're collecting a higher option
You're basically getting a finder's fee for locking up a property for a set dollar amount and the option agreement. So people got to understand it still has to make sense to your new buyer. So like, and a lot of times I just push the price up. Keep in mind, they don't really have a lot of options. And that's, listen, I've taken this option before. I didn't even know what the heck I was doing. I said, if somebody knows of a rental and a guy's like, give me $3,000, I got this great house over here. And I lived in it 2 years. It worked really well. And I was like, man, we could do an entire business off of this. So
Right.
the rental agreement, that's going to be pretty much like the rental rate. And then the option, it's more important of the price. I tell you, a lot of times when I give the sellers the price they want, they could care less what I give for an option payment.
Yeah.
And so I typically like to do $100. It works the best.
Okay.
But,
so in this situation, so this doesn't really go to any kind of title company. So whenever you assign this to your buyer, are they just giving you a cashier's check, a certified check directly, and then you assign your interest in the contract to them, and then you're out essentially then, right?
Yeah. So the beauty of this strategy, guys, I'm teaching you the simple strategy. I will teach you a more advanced one. This one's where you find it. You can find it in 2 to 3 weeks, and you can be out all less than 30 days.
Okay.
And once you're out, you're out. There's no more cash flow. You're not sharing in any of the cash flow on the difference of what the mortgage is and they're paying. This is just a clean structure to get in and out. And like, here's the key part. Your name's not on the deed, nothing like that. But I will tell you, the only time I see when people struggle with this is when they don't disclose everything. You have to over disclose. And I mean, like, we came up with our own paperwork for disclosures, and honestly, the disclosures are common sense.
Right.
This is a rental agreement. Here's the deposit, here's the security fee. And then here's the option. I'm leaving you $100 for the rights to buy this property for $150,000 in 18, 24 months, whatever you want. And if I do not buy it, I walk away, and you understand you keep the fee in return, and that's all we owe each other.
Right.
Because so many people think like, well, I'm going to sue you if you don't fulfill this. You got to let them know it's an option contract.
It's not
the word
mandatory.
Option means I have the option. You don't have the option.
Yeah.
I bought the options. What you want to negotiate it for, completely up to you. Some people are crazy on it. Some people don't care.
Right. So if you're a assignee, you're in buyer, say they live in there for the 24 months or whatever it may be, and they choose not to exercise their option, then they just move out. Nothing falls back on you, and the original owner of the property sells it at that point, or finds somebody else, or you might even could convince them to, hey, let's just do this again with another tenant.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
That's it. Like, so this is the easy way to get in and get out. If you find a really good deal and you can make $500 a month, it's a little bit more of a complicated than just I can do in this video. And my suggestion to you before you do those, do 5 or 6 of these.
Yeah.
And then honestly, it's just an extra set of paperwork on top of it and some more disclosures.
That would be like considered like subleasing then at that point, right?
Correct. And when you start doing subleasing, it's just a few more steps. That's all it is. So I'm trying to, like, a lot of people have never even done a wholesaling deal. Like, hey, how can I do it? I go, listen, wholesaling lease options is actually pretty smart, because think about it. What's your biggest objection? What's your biggest objection in wholesaling, guys?
I get a lot of objection on price.
There you go. So I'm giving you, like, you shock people when you go, okay, what if I just gave you that price?
Well, I think back of so many appointments and stuff that I've been on that at the time, if I would have had this technique in my toolbox, that I probably could have made that deal. So my mind, the gears was sitting here turning in my mind, because like I keep all my prospects in a list. I'm thinking like, okay, I've got so many people I've got to get back in touch with and see, because a lot of them were,
by the way,
landlords.
You could do so much damage with just an option contract.
Right.
I have properties right now that I've optioned 3 and 5 years ago. I got one. I have a 10-year option down the road. You're like, what the heck did you do that for? Because I sat through a conversation. The guy goes, I'm selling it in 10 years. I go, okay. I go, now it was a bigger number, guys, but I think I left like a $5,000 option payment. Guy goes, you're giving me $5,000 to buy it 10 years down the road? Yeah. Guess what?
You lock your price in.
It's already
worth
year 3. It's already worth twice.
Yeah, you
put
captured all the appreciation.
And the guy calls me once a year. He's like, what if I gave you your option payment back and gave you like $10,000 on top of it? I'm like, no, why don't you just sell it to me now? And it'll be like, I'm just, so guys, an option agreement, here's a little secret. If you're going to use option agreement, just like I'm explaining this, if you have the interest in it long term, you have to record a memorandum.
Okay.
What that does is it gives you the equitable interest. You have to announce it in public record, or it's not legal and it's not recognized. So I know North Carolina has challenged a lot of people. I know Texas has issue. I'm not here to give like legal advice, guys. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm telling you, if you have the option agreement, record a memorandum saying I have an option on this price. It expires this for this amount. I recorded that. The guy knows I recorded it. And that's why I know he can't do any funny business. If I do that, he can't sell it without my permission.
It'll pop up on title search anyways. It'll never go through.
No, I know. So I'm just telling you, like, you could just do the option agreement alone. Like if you knew, I've had people go, listen, in 10 years, I'm going to retire. And because I really like you, I'd like to sell it to you. I go, well, what if we set a deal right now? She's like, well, I don't know what's going to be worth. And then I go, why don't we figure it out?
Yeah.
And here's how I usually say, I go, what do you need to get out of it? And they'll go, well, I got to walk away with like 200. I'd like to get around 200,000. I go, okay, well, give and take. And if I bought it for this price, that would give you the number. But I always tell them it could be worth more. You can't hold me accountable for, just like if it's worth less, I have to walk away and you keep the money. So like guys, don't go out there and write like a bunch of option contracts, but I'm just telling you. And by the way, you can do this on cars. You can do it on boats. Even the lease option part, people do this all the time on like high-end cars. Yeah. It's crazy. But every now and then people they don't like the wholesalers like hacking away with them on price. Like I get it. I'm still a traditional wholesaler. I like to do it that way because it gives you the ultimate control. But this technique works out really well on someone who's just completely focused on price. I will tell you this, if the house is vacant, it's 10 times easier. When they live in it, we struggle with lease options because it usually takes an investment to get the house up to complete par, painting, flooring, new appliances. And for that reason, so people that put houses on the market, they do all that crap for you. And that's why I like them so much. So,
yeah, I like the strategy. I'm going to have to keep it in mind.
So just don't make it your first because I would tell you, like, you won't retire off this method. I'm like here to tell you because it's kind of like it's
at the end of the day, if it saves a deal, it saves a deal. If it brings money in, it brings money in. But if I can do a traditional assignment,
I go, hey, listen, what if we could do this? So sometimes we're the buyers, or sometimes we find another buyer. There's a million ways to do it, guys. If you can just get the ideas flowing through your head. And by the way, I learned this back in early 2000 reading someone else's book. I'm like, that's a really cool idea. Think about it. Like, you don't have the traditional hassles of wholesaling. And every now and then it's nice to find a deal. Sometimes deals when I'm about to give them a realtor, I'll go to this option before I give it to the realtor.
Right.
But honestly, I make just as much on the realtor when they sell it, so I don't care.
Yeah.
Once again, if I find out what the seller wants, they go, listen, I really like to get this number with like no commissions and no headaches. I'm like, well, I only have one way to do that. If you're open to it, but like, you're going to have some faith in me. And they go, okay, well, explain it to me. And that's where I roll into them. And I tell them, guys, 100%, I tell them I'm going to go get a buyer that is going to pay your full price. And they need 12 months to 24 months to work into it. They're going to do some credit repair along the way. But once they move in, they locked in, and their kids in the school district, they have to buy it. Now, the only drawback, sometimes if you're in a declining market and the price drops like radically, like it did in 08 to 2010 and 11, the only risk is if the house doesn't appraise. But honestly, once again, if you're wholesaling, it's not your problem.
Yeah.
So if the house doesn't appraise, they usually have to renegotiate it. And it is what it is. But usually a 12-month rental, it's not that big of a deal. Prices don't drop. Right. Usually it takes 2 years or more for a price to substantially drop. So
Right. All right, so I'm going to do this really quickly. That way I don't take up somebody else's time.
Okay,
I want to talk about this deal that we're working here. So got the lead the other day, reached out to the guy. He wants to sell it. It's in pre-foreclosure right now. There's no auction date set or anything like that. He just got his initial notice. He's a couple payments behind. So I was thinking about possibly trying to structure this as a sub-2 deal, but instead of just a regular mortgage on this is a reverse mortgage. And to my knowledge, those are not assumable, are they?
Well, so I mean, you understand the dynamics of a reverse mortgage, right?
Yeah,
Why
it's
they
like
take it
a
out,
line of credit essentially. They pull against the equity.
basically. So, how long ago did they take it out?
They took it out a couple years ago and tapped it out, and they've been paying on it ever since. The payment's like $550 a month or something like that, but they maxed it out at the time. They've paid off. They took
So,
out 115K.
yeah.
They owe like 105 on it. But the house is nice. Like it would be really good to try to get it
And how
to
far
hold as
behind
a
is he on it?
rental. He probably owes, I think he told me a little less than $2,000 is what he's behind. It's a couple payments. It's a
Okay.
situation where I would be in a situation where I'd be willing to pay that off if I could get interest in the property.
So I'll give you the caveat. So if it wasn't reverse mortgage, I'd tell you just go all in, like you're fine. The
Yeah.
caveat is reverse mortgages, they're hypersensitive when somebody uh so did anybody pass away?
No, it's his house solely.
Okay. So reverse mortgages, like they know when the owner passes away. Like they know. Like don't ask me
Right.
how, but they have software that searches it much higher. And then a lot of times when the property gets behind, they get hypersensitive on it. So
Yeah.
you
They've been
might get
calling him every day, multiple times a day, he told me.
yeah. So you might get resistance because what do we typically? So if we're going to do so you're basically doing like a subject to make up the back payments and do it from there. The only problem is a lot of times we fill out the paper for like a power of attorney, authorization and stuff like that. It tends to freak out people in reverse mortgages, but
Right.
you're going to have to be a little bit calmer and slicker when you do it. So it's
Right.
I've gotten resistance on them before and they made it so difficult I just gave up. So
The only thing really I was thinking about, I was just scratching my head last night of ways I could try to structure this and thinking if maybe there was a way if I could get him to sign an agreement, if I paid what he's back due on it, if I could get him to sign an agreement because he's got another place to live already.
yeah.
He's prepared to move out of the
Well,
house.
here's what
So,
I would do. You're going to take a risk with that money, putting it up front, and
right.
um,
I was just thinking
there's
if I was able to get an agreement to lease the property, and then this is why this topic was perfect, and then I was going to sublease it out to somebody else and collect the difference monthly in the cash
yeah,
flow.
just see where you can get because the problem is you need to get information on that mortgage, and you really need to pay attention to being a reverse mortgage and find out when it expires.
Yeah.
So try to read the note in its entirety if you can take a look at it because they got like a lot of little clauses. If the
Okay.
property changes title, if this happens, and you need to know because if you change the title and find out, man, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty hyper on the due on sale clause whenever
Yeah.
it switches.
I don't need that.
Okay, so you got to find that out. Number two, if you're going to make up the back payments with him, have him sign a lien that you can record against the property in case it doesn't work out.
Okay.
Okay,
Because I could
it's
still
not.
apply that as a position too, even with the reverse mortgage on there, right?
Yeah,
As a
I mean,
position two lien.
you're going to be in a second position, but in the event, like I've had people are weird. I always try to help people out. I don't trip over like nickels. I had a guy that I helped out like less than 2 years ago, almost exact same situation. There wasn't a reverse mortgage, and I paid the mortgage and everything, and then we went to do everything, and he ghosted me, backed out, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I
And
was just trying to explore options because the payment's like $550 a month, and this would be like a $1,400 a month
no,
house
listen,
rental.
number one, I wouldn't change the title. I
Yeah.
would get it really calm and get it right. And then when you have a great equity position, it's going well, then you can strategically decide you can put that property in a trust. You might want to just even consult a lawyer, make sure you got some equity, and then you make your move, but don't make the move up front because reverse mortgages,
Okay.
man, they're like, they go in like special departments. A reverse mortgage is typically, they prey on elderly people and they
Yep.
put a big fat lien on the property. And then when they pass away, they're banking on the family never to make a payment, and they're going to strip all the equity out of the property. And they don't care. There's nobody to call. They don't give a crap. So if
Yeah.
you can get through the paperwork and navigate through it, go with it. But I definitely wouldn't change the title on that one because they're going to find
No.
out in a heartbeat, and they're going to force a due on sale clause, which is going to wipe out your entire strategy.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of a creative way to try to profit off this without having to change the title. But I was bummed once I seen it was a reverse mortgage. I was like, man, this was shaping up to be like a perfect sub-2 deal.
Well, you can do you could do a straight up like lease option. Just do the paperwork to protect yourself
Yeah.
in the event the homeowner doesn't work out or something like that. But and then the other thing with the reverse mortgage, you always have to work with the owner because they like to send all the paperwork to them regardless of what authorizations you say. It takes a while to get it through. So guys, here's a tip. If you're ever working on a subject to or wholesale lease option, work with your title company because they can request stuff from these mortgages and banks that you will never, ever get. So if I have them sign my personal authorization for like Rick Ginn for my company, a lot of these banks don't like it. If it comes from a title company, they never ask 2 questions. In fact, I just got a payoff for someone's mortgage we're doing a big deal on, and the guy never even signed the authorization, and the bank gave it to the title company.
Yep.
They don't get like, oh, it's a title company. They're legit. They got a lawyer there. So
yeah.
Okay, well, just I would do the deal. I would just find sometimes once you get all the information, you reveal it. I would look at the note very specifically on the clauses, if it's in arrears or if it changes title. And then once you know your options, you could always start out with a lease option, and then you can change it to a subject to once you write the ship and you got everything going on right.
Okay. I'm gonna explore my options on it. It's just one of the many we got going on right now. So, but I appreciate it. Okay, well,
call me if I can help you out with any. You know I'm here.
Yes, sir. You have a good night.
Okay, bud. See you.
See you.
Okay. What's up, Jamie?
Oh, hi.
Is it Jamie?
What's good, Rick? How you doing? Yeah.
So, did we speak yesterday? Did we talk yesterday?
No, we didn't speak.
I saw you in the background. So, okay.
Yeah, I was in the
green screen in the back, man. What's going on, man? What can I help you out with?
Well, I'm trying to do literally just starting calling today. Literally my first time. And I have a couple people that are interested in selling. They seem to be motivated. I just don't, like I said, I started a couple weeks, literally a week ago. And I'm not exactly sure of what to do next. Essentially it was owned by her mother. She has a sister, and they're the ones that are taking care of the property. They have all the rights and whatnot, the power of attorney, and they want to sell. They have a couple offers for rent to own, but they don't want to do that. They definitely don't want to do that, and they're adamant about selling it cash. That's something they want to do right now. As far as I'm concerned, the comparables don't work out. They want 135,000. The property needs a lot of fixes, and I'm just not entirely sure of what to do. I haven't signed a contract because I don't want to lock it up for too high of a price, then have a problem trying to sell it or
okay, so let's break it down. What does it need in repairs, roughly dollar amount? And I know we're guessing, but if you had to, if you were a betting man, what would you say it cost in today's market?
15 to 20, maybe 25.
Well, let's say 25, because 25 is probably going to be 30, 35. And what's the after repair value for that property if it was in good shape with those fixes?
I've seen the comparables are around 150, 160.
Okay.
And those are the really nice houses.
How much do they want for the house?
The listing says 135, but obviously that's not going to work out.
Okay. So my last question to you is, how did you find this lead?
For sale by owner.
Okay. So that's good. At least you didn't scrape it off the MLS. So, because that's painful. But I mean, let me ask you this. What's the most you can pay for that house with the information with, like, if you're sitting in your room by yourself, in your heart of hearts, remember, I'm the guy who doesn't whip out a calculator ever, unless I'm paying employees, but like I have to, because it's like a very exact number. So I tell you guys this rule because so many people sit here and crunch and like, I get it, but like, you gave me very round, clear numbers. Like, I know exactly what you need to offer on that property, and you got to just get rid of the emotion, like, and just If it works, great. If not, move on. And then when they come back to a decision, listen, that property is only going to sell for so much. What people want and what they get are usually two different stories. Okay. So just because they want that, don't write it off. This is a classic case where would you say the property's motivated?
Yeah, they definitely. Yeah.
Okay. But the sellers aren't, because they think they got a million buyers on hand and they think real estate's going to the moon. So it's a lower price property. So you don't want to be the highest bidder. So Jamie, what would you offer on this property, knowing what you know with me and Zach? Like, honestly, if you had to just, and I know it's scary crap to offer in person, but what do you know is the right number?
105, maybe 100.
No. I'd start at like 90, 95, work my way up. Like, I know it's I'm here to tell you guys, you got to go for no on your first one, because this is just a giant poker game. Like, I hate breaking real estate down to it, but they got 135 in their head. If somebody pays that stupid price, they're all in. No one's stupid enough to pay it right now. Okay. They ain't going to take 50 grand. You know that, but somewhere lies the number. So if you start going in like, well, I'll give you 122, they're going to go to like 134. You're never going to get a price break. So I make an offer. It's somewhat embarrassing, but you play good cop, bad cop. And the only purpose of it, Jamie, is to induce a response from them to see if we have room. Okay. One or two things are going to happen. They're going to go, Jamie, I don't know. I don't know what you smoked today. I don't know what you're doing. You're absolutely crazy. You need to get out of my house. I go, listen, I didn't think you would take that offer. That's why I didn't even want to throw it out there. You constantly have safe. It's just a trial close. So the old days used to be super slick, like used car salesmen. And I just say, listen, Mrs. Smith, 135 I can't do, but like, honestly, I don't think I can do like 95, and just shut up and just like this scrunchy face. And she's either going to light you up or she's going to go, listen, the least we can take is like 120 on the property. Who cares? You just don't want to get kicked out of there. But if you guys constantly try to chase the ask price, you will never, ever make a very good living in wholesaling. It's just how it works. They have a number, you have a number. So you've got to make it spread enough where you can at least get a response from them. By the way, I've given a number and I've had people reach out and shake my hand. They go, that's the greatest offer we've ever gotten. I'm just like, crap. And I'm really upset and I'm pissed off. Why? Yeah. Because sometimes it's, why we do it, Jamie? Because it's easy. We don't want confrontation. And I'm here to tell you, if you deal with the confrontation up front, the rest of the journey is really easy. That is the hardest part of wholesaling, when you have to deliver that number and you've never done a deal before and you're nervous as heck. Just throw it out there. They're not going to hurt you. I promise you. After you do it a few times, you'll get so used to it. I've been kicked out of plenty of houses. I get kicked out all the time, but I'm here to help people out. The house is motivated. I think the house is going to sit around for a while. They'll probably get an offer with it. Here's a worst case scenario. Just go find someone that wants to do a deal with you and move on. Put this in your follow-up. Put it in your follow-up. Just every week or 2 weeks, just give her a call back. Hey, did you sell that house yet?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so the other thing is you have a bunch of competition, and I don't bad talk the competition. And I always tell the sellers, I'm definitely not going to be your highest. I won't be your highest offer. And they look at me like, what are you, nuts? No, but I'll give you the most dignity and respect out of everybody else that does this. You're going to sell it to a cash. The house needs work, and I'll take good care of it. So,
I mean, literally the first few words she said, it's definitely a fixer-upper, and she wants essentially full price for it. I've seen other houses right around the same place that are fully, brand new kitchen, brand new tiles, everything. And she told me, it's a fixer-upper. I didn't give her an offer just because I wasn't sure of what to do. Like you said, I was sort of debating that feeling like a dick,
Yeah. But listen, here's how you cure it, Jamie. You just go out and you just keep strumming up business. And some people they'll get 4 or 5 leads and they're like, okay, I got to make one of these work. You don't. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes you do yourself a huge favor when someone doesn't take your offer. Like, they do you a huge favor. when I was younger, I was so desperate and I chased a deal and it cost me 6 months of my life. And I actually lost money. I didn't make a dime. And I swore to God, I would never go down that road again. And I just like, sometimes we get so like, wholesaling's not like trying to complete a task in like a sporting event or something. Like you can't just keep trying. So if you're trying to do a pole vault, you can't just keep trying to jump the pole vault on the same one. You got to make adjustments. Either you got to learn to be faster, you got to get slimmer, you got to get faster and figure it out. The same thing in wholesaling. You can't keep pounding the same seller. You got to go find new sellers, and that's how you learn the game. And then all you can do is hope is she can't sell it to anyone else. And you are the nicest, most respectful person with a ridiculous follow-up ethic. And that's it. So every now and then I would stop by a house like that. I'd say, listen, I'm just checking on you. She goes, you here to beat me down on the price? I go, no, I'm actually just checking on you. And when you don't attack them on price, they just start unloading on you how miserable this realtor is. And this guy called me and he never came through. So the only thing you can do with this, if she goes through a contract or two and it fails, then she'll consider you. But here to tell you, Jay, she's probably not going to do a deal with you. So how do you cure that? Go out and find other people that'll work with you.
All right, perfect.
So that's why I tell people, try to have hundreds of leads. So like when one or two don't work out, like you move on. I'm here to tell you, like 90% of them like will crap out it right off the bat. Then you got 10% of all these people all over the spectrum. And then you try to nail it down to 2 or 3 people that'll do it with you. But if you try to get like 5 deals and they're like not doing anything, you don't get anywhere with it. And you get frustrated and you go, oh, this business doesn't work. It works. I'm just telling you, you're how long you been doing this for?
1 week, literally.
Sorry,
calling today.
By the way, FSBOs, guys, there's a reason FSBOs. Think about the mindset of a FSBO. Why are they doing that? Why?
Because they probably want the most amount of money.
They're. I'm just going to say it how it is. I know it's going to sound bad. They're greedy, and they know it all. And it's like they're really hard. At least with a realtor, you're just dealing with. I'm not going to say it. So you're dealing with one idiot. So like when you have to deal with like a FSBO, like sometimes the realtor's job is to talk the owner off the ledge. You ever see realtors like, okay, we'll list it for that price. We'll give it 30 days. And then we'll have a coming to Jesus meeting. Realtors go, I'll take a shot. It doesn't cost me anything. And then they go, listen, I know we list that price for $499, but remember I told you it had to have a 3 in front of it? And they start having conversations like that. And then that's when they go dark on like the realtors. But you're on the right path. You just need more leads. I'm here to tell you, like, property's motivated. Keep following up with it. It's frustrating when the seller's not motivated. You're better off having a motivated seller over a motivated property. But typically a motivated property eventually will turn the seller into some form of motivation. It's just a matter of time. I've had properties I've followed up 4 years, piece of crap, missing front doors. They've probably written 40, 50 contracts on them. And I've still bought the property in the end just because I've been doing it 20 years. So keep going. You just need lots of volume, and do not judge this business on one crappy seller. Just move on. Go ahead. It's FSBO. Dude, the market's shifting, buddy. It's shifting. It's not shifting in their favor.
Yeah.
Okay. But it is a low income house. It'll probably sell. So like, let some idiot. So someone's going to buy at 135. They're going to probably put 40 into it. And then they're going to be putting on the market on a market where houses are really starting to flood the market. You don't want to be that guy. I've been that guy, dude. It sucks. Wholesaling in and out, make your money. Your job is finding people that have the right motivation to make a deal work. And people will surprise the crap out of you. The only way you find these people is through volume and just massive, consistent action. Okay? So many people want to take that one seller and go, oh, it doesn't work. I tried it with them. I go, dude, I've dealt with hundreds of thousands of sellers. I'm only looking for that 1 to 3% to do deals with me. That's where you make the money. If you want to do all of them, you go to become a realtor. You go get your license and you put up with that crap. I don't have a problem with a realtor. I could never do it. Like there's not enough money in the world for me to put up with that stuff.
Yeah, I see. And I want to JV with you too. It's just letting you know.
So guys, here's like people are like, okay, well, what are your JV requirements? Like, I'm looking for deals that work because I want to pay you. I've got to earn some money on it, and I'm gonna kick you and push you along to get the deal done. So we've tried it every which way. And we find when people write contracts, we find the true intentions, because we tried it once where you submit leads. I got to hire like 6 people and do a ridiculous payroll, and then I can't pay you guys much. So if you take the content you guys learned just from the free wholesaling, if you guys never at freewholesaling.com, go through it and study it. Your job in wholesaling when you start out, your only job is to locate motivated sellers and just put enough to put a contract together. And if you get a great deal, you call me and you follow and use my teachings, you'll earn 50% of the deal, 50% with none of your own money. And you'll walk away with a nice chunk of change, and you get a further action. You get a great education. Guys, there's people out there that charge like thousands of dollars just to submit your leads. It's a joke. It's terrible. But I'm going to tell you right off the bat with an email if the deal passes the test. So if you want to do that too, and I get a lot of people on this channel, I'm like, either get out of that contract, renegotiate it, or you need to go back and say this. And that's how you learn and do it. But going out and talking to the sellers, no one's going to do that for you. And by the way, if you guys pay a guru 10 grand, you're still going to have to go out and talk to the sellers. So you might as well keep the money in your pocket, go out and bust your butt, put some gas money and get it done. And then when you bring a deal back, and by the way, I don't even require you to go through freewholesaling.com, but your chances of doing a deal with me, if you don't go through that course, is probably going to be a bad deal. So have you gone through the entire course?
Not the entire thing, but I've watched more than 10 videos already.
So if you paid me $5 grand, would you go through it in entirety, you think?
I'm still going to go through it. I'm not that type of person.
We've removed the obstacle from it. So take advantage of it, dive into it. And I would love to do a deal with you, but you're getting the message. Just in the beginning, let's face it, we're not the sharpest tools in the shed, but I'm here to tell you, this is not a sales job. You're just locating motivated sellers. And I'm giving you just enough confidence to talk to them, put it under contract. And I tell you, go out and sell it on your own. If you can make a killing. I had a guy who submitted a JV to me, and like he had a buyer and everything. I'm like, dude, just finish it. It was $23,000. I don't even want to take I can take half of that. But he's like, no, I feel like I owe you. I don't want to take deals like that. I don't care. I honestly want everyone to be very successful. I feel like I'm robbing from people. If I want to do that, I'll just charge you guys a course. Okay. I'm not going to do that. So the best thing you do, Jamie, is just talk to as many people as possible. And when you get a deal, reach out to us, submit it, and I will give you an answer very quick. And either you're going to be mad at me or you're going to be really happy. But either way, you're going to learn a crap load. Because sometimes you guys are looking for someone to endorse your deals. I'm just like, hey, listen. And I get people like, well, Rick, I submitted a deal. Like, why didn't I get paid? I'm like, it sucks. Like, it's a really bad deal. Did you go through the course? And that's how I try to train them and do it. So with me and Zach, you're going to get brutal honesty on it. So go ahead, dive through that and talk to as many people as you can.
All right, we'll do.
Okay.
So I should send you the contract through the email, right? That's it, and you'll go through it.
Yeah, if you go to flipwithrick.com, and I think on our YouTube channel, there's a place where you can submit your deals. Either way, we look at everything. So remember, me and Zach run a small, lean staff. I don't need a million people doing things for me. I like my life uncomplicated, and I like to be able to do what I want. So if you submit a deal and you put all the stuff in there, I promise you someone will get back with you.
All right. Perfect.
Okay. And
Thanks.
then a lot of the deals we do on people just doing on one-on-one, just like this. Like Corey before, Corey's humble. He's only been doing this maybe 5 or 6 months. He submitted a deal to me, and I told Corey flat out, I go, you don't need me. Like, you're really good at this stuff. You got it. It's just a bigger number. Do it. That I wouldn't. You know what Corey did? He's making $150,000 assignment fee. Hopefully. Guys, I could have taken the 70. Like, Corey, do it on your own. Like, you've already done all the work. You don't even need me. He's like, oh my God. So, but I didn't do JVing with students when Corey started out. So like, he's like, hey, I want to help you out. But that's what I do. And then guys, if you guys do a JV deal with me, you kind of get like, you get to know me well. Like I want you to go back and do others, or if you only do one, that's fine. But like, you'll get an extra connection with me. So me and Zach are going to be rolling some stuff out. over the next 30 days. So when we do a JV deal with someone, they'll get extra access and stuff like that. We're never going to charge a course. But if we can split a deal and work together and it works out for everyone, I would love to help people out. So just keep hunting. That's the key. Hunting is the key in your first 90 days, and education. And then once you figure out how to do it on your own, I want everybody to run on their own. Okay.
All right.
Okay. You got this. Okay. Okay. Let me grab a couple questions here and then I'm going to keep. So someone says, what would your name be on the memorandum of the new buyer? So it is, when is it? I just recorded one. It's a memorandum of option contract. Some people call it an affidavit of interest in the property. You just have to announce on public record for your option to be valid, and it's important, especially. So I got one like a 10-year. You have to record it because what the heck's going to happen in 10 years? And guys, I'm telling you, if you can pre-buy a piece of property for like, if you paid like a $500 option to buy something 10 years down the road and you're not responsible till 10 years come up, do it all day. I would write 1,000 contracts if I could. Very few people will agree to that, but every now and then it does come up. So, okay. Let's see here. Okay. I'll keep picking through. Let's see. I have T, you there? T, Meeks, you there? Okay, I'll come back to you. I'll keep you in line. I know Tara's there.
Anna.
Hey there. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. How you doing? So guys, like this is an example. Like Tara, how long you been starting on your wholesaling journey?
I started before my birthday, May 24th. We were driving to San Diego and Zach went live and I started listening to him from that time. So
yeah. He's a little bit crazy. So, but like, she's an example, like she jumps on these lives, she waits her turn and she asks questions and I help her out. So what you got today?
California. Tell you.
I visited. It's a beautiful state.
I know you too. I heard you talking about San Francisco and being all bundled up there, and it's normal.
Oh my God. Is it always that cold?
No, like here in Sacramento, it can be like 105, and you go there by the ocean, and it's like 50. We have to like bring coats and hats every time we go to San Francisco.
No, I know. It says, so I took a trip over to Sausalito and some other places over there. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sweating profusely. It was like, it got 10, 15 degrees warmer just like that.
Yeah.
So in Florida, it's always 100 here. So we're used to it. I'm like, but the lack of humidity, not sweating was like really cool. So I'm actually going to be going back to California relatively soon, but I'm going to do the southern part because your state is really long. I go broke on my drivers and Ubers there. It's like, it's especially in San Francisco. My God. But anyways, what's going on?
Prices are prices. We met up with 2 people and we spoke with one potential buyer. Seller. He wanted to sell the property, but everybody out here, I don't know if it's just Sacramento area. I don't know do you know any wholesalers who do business here in California? Because everybody wants like millions for their properties, and it's like they're not even worth that.
Well,
like, I guess my question is, should we go virtual or should we stay in California?
So I'm going to give you the same answer I give every time. Okay. Always be active in your local market. Okay. The problem is if you're in a more developed market, like most of California, there's parts of California people do a lot of business, but they've been doing it a long time. New York's one of those states. Florida is now one of those states. Florida's always been competitive, but over the last 5 years, it's gotten insane because I got every guru that came out of Florida, but like none of them do wholesaling anymore because they're all doing their coaching programs. So always do your local market, because even if you pick up 2 deals a year and you got $50,000 to $100,000 spreads, it's worth it. The advantage you have is always the home field advantage of knowing the market. I cannot fix what like sellers think of the value of their house. I will tell you, those numbers are going to be adjusting in California, especially. The problem you're having now is the disconnect between sellers, the reality of the market, and what the seller's opinion is of the market. And this is the challenging time for wholesalers in those types. I have the same exact problem going on in Florida. House is worth $1 million. No, it's not. I got 6 other houses sitting on the market for 4 months now.
And see, every time, like you spoke with the guy right before me, it's the same issue where they all think their house is worth $1 million, and they always say, "Oh, you were the one that gave me the lowest offer, so no." And I'm like, it's not even worth what we gave you. Like it.
Correct. So listen, you can look at always be active in your local market. Period. Okay. I believe everybody from California is bringing over your prices to Florida. So I'm adapting as we go. Cause like the base price house now is 350,000. It used to be like 55,000 here in Florida. It was like, so the numbers are way up, and anything close to the water is approaching $2 million when it used to be $500,000. So like, but the thing is, I can tell you 20 years, like the numbers constantly change, move up, go up, that. It doesn't matter in wholesaling. You got to find motivated sellers. So if you're interested in doing a virtual market, you can do it. I've already told you the best way to do it is reverse engineer it. Do not go by feel, like I like this part of the country. No, you've got it, like, because you're not living there. You have to pick it with absolute precision. The downside of virtual marketing is you don't know that market. So you're going to have a lot of what we call contract fallout. Plus, you're not local unless you get some boots on the ground. So the downside with virtual marketing, it takes about 3 months to get up to speed because you got to find out what's a deal. I do virtual marketing, but like once I figure out a market and I start making money there, then we keep expanding and going into it. Every time I start a new market, I usually kind of regret it because it's a pain in the butt. It's a lot of work. And if you understand it will be work, you're going to have to figure it out. But my suggestion to you is find other investors of areas that you think are interesting and start reverse engineering. How do you do that? Get on their mailing list, their wholesale list. Everybody puts you on a text list and just reverse engineer where they're doing deals. Do not spend money trying to figure that out on your own. And then when you find a place, decide how you want to attack it, how you want to take it down, and how you're going to handle it. And that's how you do it. I do deals like all over the country. But it is a little bit like once you leave your local market, it's a different world out there. There's everybody has different ways to close deals. Some are attorney states, and you got to like take all that into factors when you do it.
Like
so,
with the guys that we spoke, like we spoke with 3 of them to be more on numbers.
where did they
And
come
all
from?
3 basically, huh?
Where did they come from? Like what list?
Driving for the dollars.
Okay. Does the house look rough?
Horrible. Like
Okay.
broken windows, a tarp on the roof. Like, I mean, the house is more motivated than anything else in this world.
Okay.
You know what I
So
mean?
there you go. So guys, understand this. There's 2 factors in motivation. There's the property's motivated, seller's motivated. If you can align those 2, it's a home run. It's
But see,
rare.
what I'm
It's
trying
rare.
to say is that like the guys are telling us, they're like, well, you can build another duplex in the backyard. You can build like 2 more properties in the backyard. And they're going off. They want like a full price for their house because you can build like 20 more homes there. And my husband is looking at it and he's like, you can't even build anything back there.
Yeah, you just got to find other leads, or you got to do a
Okay.
virtual market. It's just like, here's the one thing that drives most wholesalers nuts. You can't sit there and beat on a lead they won't change. I mean, I've done this a long time. Once they go south like that, and like, I got other bids, you can build 3 more duplexes. Like, here's the reality. If someone ever says if, or the rents could be, or you could do this, I'm like, why don't you do it? There's a reason they didn't do it.
And the guy is like trying to tell my husband, he's like, yeah, this house sold for $7,000 right here. My husband pulls up right in front of him on the phone. The selling of the price was 530. And he's like, actually, this house sold for 530, you know? And the guy's like, well, yeah, but yeah, it's smaller than my house. And I'm like, it's crazy.
No, listen. California, in my opinion, is one of the prettiest states in our country, but it's got issues. It's just like you think it would be like it should be the Wild West out there because it's so far away from the East Coast, and it took longer for people to migrate across the United States. But apparently, that's not the case. So I love it out there, but like I mean, the prices are everything's so expensive. So it's all relative. I get it. If I had family out there and stuff, I'd probably be there too. I love Florida. My family's here. That's why I'm here. It's just don't waste time on people that don't want to sell you a house. You are not a realtor and you can't get in that mode because realtors have to sit there and court people for up to 2 years just to get a listing. We don't do that. If the house is motivated, I just once a month send them a text or something automated. And then eventually one day they're just going to go, crap, I can't get rid of this. I need to sell it. But once again, California has some different rules, but have you gone to like a local investor meeting or do they do anything in your area?
No, I didn't look for those yet.
Okay, well, look for it. And it's not, be careful when you go because they're going to try to sell you everything under the sun. I'll forewarn you that. But you can kind of get a feel for like what people are doing and just see if like, okay, am I going crazy or is it just me? Most of the time, it's just stuff going in your head. When you guys try to work with sellers that are difficult or just don't want to do business with you, the reason we do wholesaling is to get freedom. Don't sit there and try to beat up someone the entire time. It just doesn't work. So one of the points of today's presentation was when you have that seller is just stuck on price, what do you got to lose at the end to offer them a lease option? So listen, what if I can get you that price? Would you give me a short-term rental? And would you let me set the price at the end of those 12 months? And I'll tell you, like, do you think the price is going to go up or down? I don't know. I'm done guessing with the market. And by the way, anybody tells you the market's going up or down, they're completely clueless. I completely thought the market would ratchet backwards in COVID and it went the opposite way. And now we have this crazy economy going on. Everybody wants to predict the future. I've just learned nobody knows. Like we're all kind of trying to anticipate it, but we can't stop doing business. So the reality is if the market gets worse, sellers' expectations will lower. But here's the catch, the caveat. Your buyer's expectations will be lower too. So it's not going to make a difference. So people waiting, well, I'm going to wait to wholesale to see if stuff drops. It's not going to do you any favors. The market does not affect wholesaling. It just affects who you spend more time with. The price is always moving up or down. So if I'm getting in it today, if I want to buy a $300,000 house today, and then I think I can sell it for $325,000, I know that I just got to work with the buyer more. So I know I'm not giving you the greatest answer, but I'm here to tell you, you need volume. So have you exhausted all your government lists for your market?
Well, we did the driving for dollars, and we've been calling this list now. And we just spoke with my husband because I told you he quit his job, his construction job, to do this. And we want to pull the list Saturday, Sunday, and then call it on Monday. That's our plan.
This business isn't always how hard you work. It's a lot of it's how smart you work. So it's like you need more volume. I'm just going to tell you clear out because dealing with idiots like that, you're going to get frustrated. And like I'm taking they're looking to list their property like realtor stuff. They're never going to qualify, even though the property qualifies. I know it's frustrating, guys. I deal with them all the time. You just go, okay, I'll just put you in the follow up and move on. I always follow up on properties that are motivated because eventually something has to happen to them. And everybody's got a big, tough game. They're going broke with that place. Think about it. They would have fixed it up if they had the money, right?
The funny thing, this place looks like trash, and he got it in 10 years ago. And he kept on telling my husband, he's like, well, if you're not going to buy this house for the price that I want, then I'm just going to go ahead and flip it and make it all good and rent it out. And I'm like, why didn't you do it a long time ago?
Yeah.
You know,
and that's it. Just so like whenever someone says, oh, you can build another duplex in the back, you can do this, you can have a solar farm, you can have a chicken farm. I'm like, knock yourself out. Like, why did you just do that? I get it all the time. I'm like,
but it's just frustrating because you're seeing like really shitty house, and this guy has this.
Yeah. So remember, what's the biggest thing I tell wholesalers? Like the one thing you have to control to be successful in this business. You remember? It's like kind of a high level thing, but it's simple but complicated. It's your ego. Okay. So you never want to get in an argument with a seller because you got to always let the seller feel like they're right. The one thing that seller is protecting is his ego. And you just got to give it to him. You can't take his ego away from it. And you just like, I can't, the ego is always right. There's nothing you can do, especially on a man. I'm sorry. Like my wife tells me all the time, it's like, you're always
Yeah,
right.
I mean, like the guy told us that we gave him the lowest offer and all that. We said, I'm sorry. I mean, my husband texted him. He's like, hey, sorry you feel this way. If anything changes, we're here to get your property. So basically, that was it.
You got it. So just, I would just look down deep in your market and go deep as you can on the government list to increase your volume. Remember, in the beginning, it's about us talking to many sellers as possible. You're going to have duds. The key is do not spend time on the duds because they're the ones that drive you nuts. So imagine if you talked to this guy originally, you had a 10-minute talk, you called him back one more time, and he's still just like, I can do this on my own. They're like, okay, well, have a night. Like, it doesn't bother you as much. And you just got to kind of move on. You got to let your ego know, like, I know he needs help, but if they don't want to accept the help, there's nothing you can do.
Okay.
You move on. I tell you, you're going to see a heck of a lot worse. You'll see. I've seen children that like there's issues. Like, but here's the one thing, guys. I am not the judge and jury of anybody calls anyone I can connect with off of a list or driving for dollars. I never pass judgment on them, and I never get involved. I hear so many wholesalers. I'm going to call code enforcement on the person. I'm like, dude, karma's going to bite you in the butt when you do stuff like that. Do not rat on people. Do not tell on them. Unless there's a crime being committed, move on with your life. I've seen children like, do you have any clothes for those kids? Like, we go and get donations and stuff like I've seen some really bad stuff. And it's not the kid's fault. I never blame the kids. So it's like, what are you going to call? Child services? No, you just try to help them out, move on, and go, listen, if something, but just by doing a kind act, they might consider you down the road. But like, when you get egos involved, guys, just let them be right and move on. Go get more volume. And then if you want to research a virtual market, but I would do that last. I usually like to see people have success and then add a virtual market. So you're in California. It's a little unique. I would try to find some groups that you can work together with to just see what they had, like some of the obstacles they're going through just to see. But remember, I'm in a super saturated market. I just go, okay, we move forward. Your numbers are bigger in your market, but it's all relative. It just, everything's based on supply and demand. Keep going. If your conviction's deep enough, you'll get through it. You just got to find more sellers.
Okay.
Okay. You got it.
Thank you.
I'll see you. Bye. Sasha, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you located?
I'm also in California.
Right.
I'm in Southern California in the city of Riverside.
You guys got a big, big state. I'll tell you that. So,
yeah, I'm new to this. I just finished the 30-day challenge. I just watched all the videos. So,
did you like binge watch them or?
Yeah. I got
see, that's how I learned. Like, if I'm super excited about something, I'm just like, just give it to me. And I'll watch it over and over and over again. And so instead of doing like Netflix or like a Seinfeld thing, you're better off doing stuff that will make your actual life better. So what can I help you out with?
So I know you guys suggest for newbies to do the reverse driving for dollars. But my question to that was, do you pull the list first from your government agencies and then go like specifically door to door doing that, or do you just drive and leave your sticky notes?
So are you working off of a list or are you looking for distressed properties?
I'm haven't even pulled a list yet, so okay. I'm just debating, do I pull the list first and just go drive to each of those houses and leave a note, or do I just drive around and leave a note on every house that I see distressed?
Okay, so you're in the right area. So you have two techniques, so I'll clarify them for you. One is simply driving for dollars. You take a neighborhood you're pretty much familiar with, you understand the roads, kind of the area, and you just take a notepad, If you're creative like my son, he uses every app in the world. I don't. I'm just not complicated. And just write down addresses of properties just don't look right. High grass, um, boarded up windows, blue tarped roofs, look terribly vacant. You know, they look bad, and you
Yes.
just write it up. And your job is to fill as many addresses as possible because that's just one segment. Okay, it's not worth doing it for 3 or 5 addresses. Now, I'm telling you this day, I run a lot, and I also go walking with my wife and daughter, and I'm constantly. Now I'll take a picture of the address with my phone for like the onesie twosies, and then I'll research it. But if I go out driving for dollars, like I go out with kind of a goal in mind, like I want to get 100 addresses today. And so if you have a goal in mind, you just keep driving till you get it. So once you have those addresses, which is sometimes tiring, then you go back and you get somewhere comfortable in front of a computer, and then you're going to cross-reference and find the owners in the property appraiser site. You want to find their name. Okay. It'll tell you if they live there or they live somewhere else by the mailing address. Okay. And you make a note of it. And then from there, you can go, if you want a free route, go to truepeoplesearch.com, and you have the ability to skip trace their phone number. It's not perfect, but it'll probably get you about 70% towards the end game. And you find out that information, and you have the option of simply calling them. That is the most effective way to do it for time management. Okay. Now you could take that list right there. You could skip the skip tracing part and get their name, or you don't even really need your name if you want to really streamline it. And just, you could go back and make sticky notes and just say, hey, listen, I got a quick question about your house, and stick it on there. Now, the only problem is if those houses are vacant, no one's going to answer those sticky notes until somebody comes by.
Right.
The other way you do it is the reverse driving for dollars is you get some sort of list, like a foreclosure list, an eviction list, a tax delinquency list. And we teach you how to do all that on the freewholesaling.com. And then once you have that list, you can take that same sticky note for efficiency. Instead of trying to knock on every door and have a conversation, just put a note out there, and then those people will call you back for the ones that actually want to work with you. And I've knocked on thousands of doors. I did it the hard way for the first 3 years. It sucks. So the reverse driving for dollar method actually is very efficient because you prevent the people from slamming the door in your face, telling you to, take a flying leap.
Right.
And everyone goes, listen, I saw the note. Like, what's this mean? They go, oh, well. And then people go, well, Rick, what do I do if I'm putting the note on there and they confront me? I'm like, well, you got 1 or 2 options. If they're open and friendly, just talk to them. They won't hurt you. Okay. You never lie to a customer. You're not going to know everything when you start out. Remember, in wholesaling, when you start out, your job is just to connect with people and see if they have a genuine interest in selling their property. That's it. Like, you don't have to know everything else. By knowing that skill set alone, you can make $100,000 a year. Hands down. I did it. My son's done it. Everyone I've worked with has ever done it. That's it. But so many people think this is like college where you have to have a 4-year degree to understand everything.
Right.
People in college work for me. Okay. We are completely different now. And I went to college. My son went to college. It doesn't matter. So the art of wholesaling is about connecting with people. And the sooner you understand that, that's where the skill set is. It has nothing to do with your depth of knowledge on real estate, on how to evaluate stuff and how to put contracts together. 9 times out of 10, I don't even do my contracts anymore. I just pay someone to do it because it's cost effective for me. Because I make mistakes because I'm always like running around talking to people. So the reverse driving for dollars, if you have a specific list, it lets you kind of like figure out, okay, I'm going to go on the south side of town, the north side, and you can put it on there. Worst case scenario, in the old days, I used to make door hangers that were really cheap, and I would just canvas an entire neighborhood. I put out like 500.
Yeah.
It's just say, listen, you want to sell your house quick for cash, give me a call. I'd always get 1 to 3% of them that would call me. So does that help clarify on what you're doing?
Yes. And then just lastly, would you recommend like using your personal phone number, or should you have different
I mean,
numbers at
you
this point?
can. I would advise against it because there's some crazy people out there. So you can use a Google number. Just make sure it doesn't tell you, hey, this is Google Voice. There's an option to remove that. Or number 2, you can buy a virtual phone number for like under $5. And it's handy. It's just handy to have. Like sometimes you just got to dispose of people. You'll get a chronic person that won't stop calling you, and you'll never get your cell number back if you start putting it out on marketing materials.
Okay.
So now when you have this virtual phone number, it just forwards to your cell phone number, and then you can put an ID on there. So if you're doing like sticky notes, just put on, like, when the call's coming in, sticky notes, so you know, like, okay, this is someone calling from one of the notes I put on the door. And the really cool thing about virtual numbers, I think last we checked, me and Zach have like around 60. We use them for each campaign, and I've had campaigns going 15 years now, and like we never change the number once we do it. So a virtual number is good because it's a little bit disposable. By the way, they get super fancy. You can have them transcribe. You can put them on timers. Go with just a simple number starting out, just so you can keep your number private.
Sounds good. Thank you for all of your help, and I look forward to checking back in and
and remember, it's all about volume. You got to have volume. You got to have volume. Like 2 and 3 addresses is not going to make you a successful wholesaler. You got to keep going. So, okay, just go out there and just keep doing what you're doing. And then just, guys, like, don't just watch the videos once. Like, you learn through repetition. Sometimes you watch it over and over again and you pick up on like a few more things. But the idea is, do the videos and then go out and do the action, because so many people do the videos and they don't do the action, and like, I can't help you if you're going to do that. So you're on the right path. Just decide which one you want to do and just get busy with it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to answer some questions. Wait a minute. Let me get on this. Everybody that's on, I'm going to get to you here. Let's see here. I had a question on here. I think a Florida one. Dang it, I lost it. This feels like a California show today. I got like a lot of questions on California. Oh, here is one. What strategy would you recommend for Palm Beach County with a $400 budget, Rick? I appreciate any advice, brother. Honestly, I would take a government list, either a code violation, for sure the probate, and possibly, and even the foreclosure. And I would get those lists, and then I would do a reverse driving for dollar and stick sticky notes on all of them. And when they call, you go out and meet with those people. With $400, like, you got to make your time count. And honestly, the $400, you're going to spend like $50 in gas. And then I'll let you decide what to do with the other $350. But I do this exact method in Palm Beach County, by the way. So I'm just up the road. So guys, I got nothing to hide from you, because the reality is, I know this is going to sound brutal, but it's the truth. And I can tell it to you because I'm not telling you a course. I could give you a step-by-step action plan. The reality is, a lot of people just aren't going to do it. So I don't even protect my own market. I have people all the time say, hey, how do I make Port St. Lucie work? I go, hey, this is what I do. I don't care. Like, I could care less who competes with me. Everybody comes to my market anyways. They think it's easy here. I've been doing this 20 years. Like, I think I got a leg up, but I don't care. Like, if you don't come, somebody else is going to come. So, like, Ricky, you're going to hold back. I don't hold back. I tell you exactly how to do it. So, okay. Let's see here. What's up, Jason? Can you hear me?
Oh, I had my microphone on mute. Sorry, man.
Okay. I see you there. Dude, let me tell you what, I really like your Miami logo on the back there. So God, that team's been killing me for 20 years, man. But I grew up.
Every time we play you kick our ass. So hopefully now with Cristobal there and the new staff, we can play the SEC at a competitive level.
Oh my God, dude. So are you a UM fan, for clarity?
No, just for shits and giggles.
Okay, I see a hat behind you. I see like a beanbag. I don't know if you're trying to infiltrate me and set me up here. So.
No, man. No, huge UM fan. Huge UM fan.
No, I know. So where are you located?
So I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina now. We just moved out here about 12 months ago. Actually, last week made a year.
Yeah.
But originally born and raised in Miami.
Yeah. It's I don't know, dude. So I've always loved football, but to be honest with you, as I mature in life, it's like, I just wish people would root for their business and like their wholesaling operation, like they do for their football teams. Man,
Oh yeah,
yeah, guys
that
ever go to
constant
football team?
obsession, right? That
Oh my
obsession
God.
of
I'm just like,
I agree.
so I translated my obsessions into my business. I still love sports, but to be honest with you, I enjoy it a lot more now. I don't like, I was young and dumb, like in my 20s. Like I was, but you got to admit, I grew up in the
But you went to
prime of
UF,
the
right?
games in the 80s. Yeah. It was just
Yeah, it was great. It was a great
absolutely
time.
nuts. So Zach went to UF just because it's just a better school, but I'm not talking about football, but it's you know what? I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this comment, but I enjoy all Florida teams. Like I really even
Oh, listen, I had those conversations too, man.
I love the
all the
FSU
Florida teams
Miami
are doing
rivalry.
great. I love what
Yeah.
UCF is doing, right?
I know. It's
Like,
just
I root for all the Florida teams, but when we're
that's fun.
playing,
Yeah.
I hate your guts, man.
Okay, Jason, be careful because I could talk about football for a long time. So
I know, me as well.
okay,
Hey,
let's help you out here. What you got going on?
I had
You're in a
question,
great
man.
market, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to dig into the Raleigh market. There's one nuance, which it was going to be my second question to you, but since we're on it,
Okay.
I don't know if you do any deals in North Carolina, like
I have.
with the traditional North Carolina, realtor purchase agreement. There's a due diligence fee. I don't know if you're familiar with it, or if you just use your own contracts and don't include the due diligence fee. But I see most of the wholesalers here do use the traditional contract.
Okay.
And do put that due diligence fee. That due diligence fee is not refundable. Like, it doesn't matter what happens with the deal.
So when you say
seller backs out,
yeah,
if the seller backs out, then you can get it back. But if you back out of the contract, doesn't matter if it's during due diligence period. Doesn't matter. It's
how much is the typical fee?
Well, it depends. I'm hearing because I go to the local RIAs, and the number that I'm hearing is $500.
So you're saying that when you enter into a contract with a seller with a traditional realtor contract in your city, there's a section for a due diligence fee.
Fee, correct. Non-refundable. So it's like a commercial deal, right? When you go hard, you go hard. And
I don't know, dude, I would dig into that a little more. Like I don't know that might be the norm, but in wholesaling.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering how they're doing deals here, because I know stuff falls through the cracks and you can't always find a buyer, right? So,
well,
are you giving up your fees every single time? Like,
if you're going to use a traditional wholesaling contract, unless there's a statute enforcing that fee, I'm not sure how people can collect that. But if somebody's from North Carolina, they can pop in on that. I've done deals there. I've never paid that fee. And I'm not talking long ago.
What contracts do you use when you're locking up deals?
So if you go to freewholesaling.com, we provide you the whole thing.
I have it.
So if a buyer and seller agree to it and there's no statute, that now maybe it's like a NAR thing in your like MLS for there, but
it is.
Guys, listen, realtors, it's not even the realtors, the brokers, they make up these fees. Like we have, so in Florida, we have transaction fee.
Yeah.
It's up to $995 now. It used to be $295. And 90% of the public pays it. They're just because they don't know it's an option. They don't know it's not negotiable. Guys, so much stuff on a traditional HUD statement when people buy. If you knew how negotiable those numbers were, you would be blown away.
Yeah, from
I can shave anyone.
They title searches, all this stuff.
I recently asked a title company that I was forced to do a deal with. They go, we're going to charge you a lien search fee. They charged me $295. I go, I want the lien search. We didn't do it. Well, Florida statute says you actually have to produce the report. Otherwise, I'm not paying it. And so I went line by line. I'm like, dude, I can play this game all day long. So it's a lot of times we make assumptions. So I would dig into it. Don't let that interfere in your wholesaling. If a good deal's, so is the $500 refundable if you back out of the contract?
It's not. It's per the contract. Per the NAR contract, the standard contract.
Yeah.
So what I'm finding, because the areas that I'm prospecting downtown, they're not affluent areas where they're being gentrified, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of shitty houses, right? So it's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of people that park their money there, LLCs. They
Yeah.
might be doctors, they might be lawyers, right? They're parking their money there, and then now they want to sell, right? But they're not taking this 1-2 page contract, right? They're like, they want to do a traditional transaction.
And I do that here in Florida too. So it's
so they want to see this contract.
So who gets the money then if they back out?
It goes straight. So when the contract gets executed, you have 24 hours to write a check to Rick Ginn.
Yeah.
And it goes to Rick. It gets deducted. It gets credited in the settlement statement. However, if the buyer backs out, it's their check.
I'm willing to bet you that money goes to the realtor, not the seller.
No, it goes straight to. I'm telling you, it does.
It goes straight 100%. To the seller.
Yeah, it gets written to Rick Ginn.
Well,
it doesn't go to a title attorney, to escrow agent.
I can't fix that part for you, so I just find out what's.
I'm just wondering if you had that hurdle, right, and if you could help me overcome it. But
honestly, you write a contract. You could easily. You could take that same contract and just cut that part out. You could write it in the addendum. I'm not,
Yeah.
But if you don't get the deal on doing that, but like I can't change their contract, so I can't help you on that part. Other than don't use their contracts, and if you're doing it because it's a good deal and you got to get going, that's the risk you're going to take when you do that type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a no-brainer deal,
So here's what I would do: is if you can't get around that, then I would put a clause in there that gives you more of an out. But if they're writing it, it's a $500 fee if you back out, no matter what. I got to think that would be really detrimental to the real estate environment because people write contracts all the time and back out, all the time.
I'm talking to local investors and local realtors, and they coined the state a buyer beware state. Because if you read if you have some extra time, read the contract.
Okay, we'll figure it out. So what else can I help you out with? I would dig into it and find out what's fact and what's fiction, because everybody makes assumptions, and that's how we get in the problem. So find out if it's mandated on just the NAR approved contract, or is it like a state statute? It's not a state statute, dude. The sky's the limit.
It's not that it's required to have this fee in there, but if the fee is part of the negotiation, it's not refundable.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I would do,
the impression that you have to put this fee.
Okay. So if I had to do that, I would pay someone to take that contract and eliminate that part out of it to make it look like the normal contract. But I would disclose, like if they go, well, I get your $500 fee. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't do that. See, to me, it's like either you could be a sheep and follow the herd, or you do this. Now, if you got a big time property and you got to play by the rules, then that's the risk you're going to take doing it. And I get that all the time. I just had one where the guy's like, I go, well, I'll give you a $25,000 deposit. It's like, okay. And we went to close. And he's like, I need 50. I'm like, the deposit doesn't make a difference. I'm closing in 30 days anyways. Instead of me getting an argument with, and I really wanted the property, I knew exactly what I was going to do with it, I just left the 50. Like, some arguments aren't worth it.
Yeah.
So, pick your arguments accordingly. But I hate our realtor approved contract in Florida. I think it's 23 pages now.
Yeah. It's like 18 over here.
That's ridiculous. So I try to find sellers that don't even want to deal with that crap. The only ones that I make the exceptions for is probates, because they got to go by attorneys, and they only look at the first 2 pages. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
From what I understand about the probates over here, it's subject to upset bid. So if Rick wins the contract, it needs to get bidded out post your accepted offer to see if somebody outbids you for probate.
Well, make sure you get the facts on that, because I don't know if that's true, because I've heard that multiple times. And when I get down and challenge it, so you're saying in the court system, because court systems aren't set up for bids. It would take so much time to do. And then if your state law is, if you have a buyer and a seller that agree on a contract and it's reasonable, and a judge can say it's reasonable, to say bid it out almost forces you to go through a real estate agent and do it that way. So I had somebody tell me that in Florida. I go, listen, I've done at least 500 probate deals here in Florida. There is no bidding out. There's none of that crap.
Yeah.
And I've been challenged by judges on my contract price. They go, that's really low. Can we get a higher price? I go, if you put the $100,000 in the property, I'm sure we can get it. And once the judge knows, okay, you got repairs, you got estimate orders, they're like, okay, I get it. I understand it. Most judges do not want to get into the real estate business. So I would just, honestly, I've heard of other ones. I'm used to having judges approve stuff just to make sure it passes the snuff test. Do we have a buyer and seller willing to do it? Is it a reasonable price? And if it's not, explain it to me. But past that, the laws are very clear. There's only so much interference that can come in a probate. Just get the facts. There's almost 3,600 counties. Like I can't take this whole live to do it.
No, I know.
But get the facts, because you'll get a lot of assumptions. And whenever I've got someone boiled down, it's got to be a bid. No, it's a lot of times it's a bid because they felt there was something unscrupulous going on and it wasn't fair to the family. And honestly, if they want to do that, those type of people are going to go out and list it with a realtor anyways, and you're not going to compete with those type of deals. Most people sell me in probate. They go, listen, I just want to be done. I'm done with it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Give me a reasonable bid and it's yours.
Yeah.
But when they start, I got a bid, and I go, I'm not your bid guy. I'm actually probably be your lowest bid. I tell them all right off the bat. So guys, just make sure you're like, so he's only been there, within a year. Like you got to research laws.
I'm figuring out the landscape,
Yeah. So you landscape and then figure out what's fact and fiction. Because if you go, okay, I assume what you're saying is right, and you build a business around and go, crap, it's not right. I screwed up those 3 deals. It's going to cost you a ton of money. So just make sure, just get the facts. That's how I figured out probates in Florida. I just went straight to the court and I sat there for a day. I'm like, and I just buried him with questions, and I went to a lawyer. And over like a 3-week period, I like, okay, I got this dialed up. And once I was confident, and when people go, no, you can't do that. I go, says who? And then I go over the statute. I go, here's my attorney. Here's the title company. And I spoke to Judge Barrett. And he runs the probate for this county. I'll have to tell him that you found a new way to do this. And they go, okay, I get it. And it's embarrassing.
You're like an underwriter in the retail mortgage business.
Yeah, I know. You just got to find out what's fact or fiction. So
I got a real question for you. Got to go through a little rabbit hole there. So I've got a deal in Miami, South Miami, and it's a wholesaler that brought it to me. I've got some buyers over there. I haven't done a JV deal. I'm wondering what's the best way to structure the JV deal. So he's going to get it under contract. He's like, hey. I'm like, hey, let's just do a JV deal. We split it 50-50. He goes, oh, no, I'll leave room for you. I'm like, all right. I'm like, where are you going to lock it up at? He goes, X amount, and then I'll pass it over to you at X. I'm like, all right, there's still room there, right?
Yeah.
From what I'm seeing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, so do I lock up with a traditional contract with him, me purchasing from him, and sell it to my buyer?
What's your relationship with this person?
I've done one deal with him.
I mean, it go without a hitch?
Without a hitch.
So it's about a level of comfort with people. The easiest way, if he or she lives up to the expectations, is you put it under contract with him, and that gives you a direct, clear path. Mm-hmm. The problem is when you do a JV agreement, it's only as good as everyone who knows about it, including the title company. And then you got to 9 times out of 10, you got to trust that other person to pay you.
Yeah,
that's how they work. Like,
I mean,
I've had title companies. I'm working on quite a few JV deals right now, and I have title companies goes, we don't recognize that document. I'm like, I go, well, here's the deal. If you disperse the money to anybody else, I will have a title claim on the property. They're like, oh, we're not doing the deal. I'm like, really? You're not doing the deal because I'm being transparent and upfront? I don't want to chase down my JV partner. We don't really know each other. And so we're entering into an agreement that we split it on the HUD. And then if the title company won't honor it. Now, if I enter into an agreement directly with the other wholesaler, then it gives you a clear path. Like, that's how I would do it. But I would only do it if I know their history, because there's a lot of unscrupulous investors out there and they won't do what they say. I've done JV agreements and I've been stood at the altar. They know who they are. They're probably watching on here now. Like, life stuff, but you're not getting my help anymore. And honestly, if you've learned that now, you're just going to try to screw everyone. So I know karma will do it to work for me. I'm not even going to mess with you. So
yeah,
it happens, but and just make sure you stay in close contact with whoever the title company is. and do it that way. So it's like, once you have the trust there, you can take it down either way you want. It's when you work with people you've never worked with before, that's when it can get really ugly. Like, it's just like,
Well, I
people
mean,
get
like,
greedy.
I've done a deal with him, but you know, it's not one of those relationships where you're like, hey, Rick, like, let's just
Yeah.
figure it out. We'll come to an agreement. And we'll split it above and beyond whatever you locked it up at, right?
Yeah.
I like to put something in writing just to secure my interest in
Yeah.
it. Just the way I
gives you a
feel right
direct,
now.
yeah, that gives you a direct line. There's like, they can't dispute that. So the problem is when you get like 2, 3, 4 people in line, it's like, who are you? Like, who are you? It's like, you know, so you got to be good enough to where if he got paid, like, he would be okay cutting you a check, and vice versa, if you can do that. But like the end, if I got a good one and I do that type of deal where I take over the contract, I kind of daisy chain it, and I go, listen, can we just tell the title company we're splitting it? Like, you okay with that? We just put it on the HUD? Like, yeah. And then you tell the title company, and then you can add a JV agreement, and they don't care. They're like, dude, just tell me who's getting paid.
Yeah. They just want to divvy up all the money.
You're fine. If you're not dealing with someone you never dealt with before, you better read the Riot Act on like a JV agreement. And I find the enforcement is with the title company as opposed to the JV partner, because odds are they're not going to go to another title company. And I let the title company know, if you don't fulfill this agreement, you will have a legal action on your hands. And they don't want that because they're insuring the title against it.
Yeah.
So you're fine.
All right. Cool,
I mean,
man.
you got to be careful trusting guys out of Miami. You know, it's like, you never
come
know.
on, man. Not everybody's.
No, I know, but like
Miami's,
Miami's boy, there's some tough.
No, it's scrappy, man, and you know, it's one of the reasons why we left, right?
Yeah,
I
I
got
know.
2 little girls. I'm like, I'd rather raise them up here than.
No, listen, I love Miami, but like it's not even money with me. It's just so crowded down there.
It's
so
crowded, and it's
crowded. It's very different. But I
so
still
noisy, man. I was just down there this weekend, and I'm like, get me back to Raleigh. It's so quiet and peaceful.
I know. Well, that's why I keep moving a little bit more north in Florida, but I still got a lot of family down there. So I'm down there probably every other month, but the traffic, oh my God, I can't deal with it. So
it's a nightmare.
Okay,
hey,
bud.
I appreciate your time.
I'm going to take one more. Okay, man.
Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
No problem. See you. Okay, I'm going to take one more here. Yvonne, you there?
Hey, Rick, you hear me?
Good.
Hi.
We're on the clock. What's going on?
I understand. No, I appreciate you for squeezing me in super last minute.
No, I know you waited. So
yeah. So I had a conversation with Zach last week, and we kind of had a little bit of a game plan. I'm in Washington, kind of a super expensive area, lots of $1 million homes and everything. But I was doing reverse driving for dollars about 2 days ago. I'm going back out tomorrow. But I went to go put a sticky note on a house that was pre-foreclosed.
Okay.
And he came out and we had a short conversation, and he actually said he does want to sell the house, but he has a lot of stuff to get into place first. So I guess my question would be, would that be a good one to go back in person in like 2 weeks? And
did he elaborate on what the stuff is?
No, he didn't really want to tell me. And we also had some like dogs barking in the back. He seemed kind of rushed.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm just wondering if I should just add that to a follow-up and head over there in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks might be a little long. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay, so you would see even shorter.
Listen, do you do you got anything else going on in wholesaling?
No, actually, I'm just as you say.
So you can only learn by doing it. So as long as you're in a safe environment, dog's not going to bite you. You feel comfortable. You're going there in the daytime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, then just go have a conversation. So what you have to do is learn to talk to people, because the only downside, foreclosures are great leads because they're usually highly motivated. The downside is the drama is exhausting.
Understood. No. Yeah, I watched your foreclosure video.
Yeah. You ever have that friend that just like bitches and whines the entire time you're with them? You're like,
that's all my friends. Literally everyone from high school.
So you have to prepare and kind of go there and take it, because that's remember, it's their ego. They're going to justify the position, and you kind of have to endorse it. Yeah, I know times are rough, and it's like, but you actually have to walk them through. Make sure you walk them through the qualifying process and make sure that you precondition the seller, because
Mhm.
foreclosure people are infamous for bouncing wholesaler to wholesaler, thinking all wholesalers are going to be actually do the exact same thing. So like if they're bouncing, take note of it. They're sucking everyone's time dry. So you got to kind of get to the point and go, listen, I'm going to meet with you. I'll probably take about 30 minutes. I'll get to know your situation. I'll ask you a bunch of questions. At the end, you're going to make a decision if I'm a good fit for you. Here's the good news. No matter what happens, I'm going to help you out with this problem. So at the end of our
Okay.
conversation, you have to make a commitment either to move forward with me with a yes, or say, I'm not a good fit. I don't like you. And it's a no. Can I agree from that from you?
Mhm.
You foreclosures, if you do not get that point across, you will be there for 4 hours. You
Okay.
won't get
Yeah,
anywhere.
definitely. Yeah,
And
I'm
then you
previous
then
to
then you got to go through the qualification and find out everything, and because they have a sweet spot, and then like once it goes too far along, they like, oh well, I can stay here forever. And then
Yeah.
like the stuff hits the fan, and then they're like, what do I do? It's up for auction. Well, honestly, unless you want to spend big like lawyer money and stuff like that, it's tough. Most people have a tough time accepting foreclosure and moving their family out. And
Mhm.
moving's very stressful. It's right up there with like death. It sucks. So your job is kind of like every foreclosure. Where are you going? That's the first thing I ask. They go, I have no idea, and I got no place to live. Have you checked out the cost of buying a new house or renting right now? It's painful. And if they
Yeah.
don't have a plan for it, understanding you're at least 3 to 6 months away.
Yeah, definitely
And
patience.
that's what
Yeah.
you want to find out, because if they're 6 months away, maybe even going by it might be a waste of your time. Like, it's like, hey, you want to make sure there's like, everybody wants to talk about their problem. You need to find people that actually want to solve their problem, and you got to help them out. Remember, your job in wholesaling is you have to help people out, even sometimes when they don't know they need help. Your job is to guide them. It's like a child.
Mhm.
You're going to lose the house, you're going to get nothing, and you're going to be on the street. I can make this as least painful as possible for you. And I'll give you your dignity, and I will let you keep your ego in the entire process, and I'll make it super convenient. And so just make sure you precondition them, but like you got nothing, just make sure you're safe and it's good to go. But precondition and make sure you qualify.
Okay.
Otherwise it's like, and like, if it doesn't meet those parameters, just, you know, and most of the research you can do online, you can kind of find out what they owe on the mortgage and the value of the house. So you kind of have some numbers. And then when you have those numbers, see if his numbers jive with what you're seeing to see if it actually makes sense. Okay.
All right. Yeah, definitely. I have just maybe two more quick questions.
Go ahead.
So I guess my biggest question is, do you have any tips like specifically for Washington State? When I talk,
No,
not
it's
really.
a beautiful state,
It
but
is.
um, I don't. So every state's unique. Like Florida kind of used to be easy 15
Mhm.
years ago. Um, Honestly, in the last 10 years, we just keep getting better and better at what we do. So it's like, if you like your state and you want to stay there and live there, deal with it. Like I like, that's just the truth. That's why listen, we're all in a state because it's what we're used to and accustomed to.
Mhm.
So as I get older, I'm learning to travel and go, oh my God, all these places have all this wonderful weather. What the heck am I doing in Florida? But then I go, man, I miss the beach and the warm weather in the winter, and I like going out on a boat and just going in my backyard and doing that. So so if you like where you're at, just embrace it. Like, the saturation's only a thought in your mind. When somebody quits wholesaling, 3 more come in. It never stops. So the people that get good and really consistent with it, they do very well in wholesaling. You're always going to have people coming in behind you.
Mhm.
So the problem is you're just starting out now, right?
Yeah, I've only
Okay.
gone on about 2 appointments, and the
Yeah. So
first
you're
one
just
fell
starting out
through.
now. You feel all this competition. You're like, I don't really have a competitive advantage. You're right. So
Mhm.
I always tell people, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
26.
Okay. So you're young. So
Yes.
I've always told this, and I'll end this with you, is your lack of experience needs to be made up. You know how you make up for it?
Just do it.
Enthusiasm. Just have fun. Like, just like be like the person that go, you know what? I used to have people did deals with me. He goes, I don't know if you know what you're doing. She goes, but I like your attitude. I'm like, yes, like, God, please give me that one. So your attitude is everything because you don't have the experience, but everybody loves a great experience with a person. Like, you know what, you're a really special, nice person. So what's your special gift, Yvonne?
Me?
Yeah.
I think when I can travel. I've traveled. I can talk about traveling all over the
Like,
place.
what's your God-given talent? Like, what's one thing? If I ask a family member of yours, they go, like, what's Yvonne? Like, what's her special trait? And I'm looking for like 1 or 2 word answers, like that pops on. They go, yeah, yeah, she's
Sports?
no, it's
I don't
no, no.
know.
Sports is an act.
Okay.
So like your special powers, just real quick, is something that like is just part of your personality. No two people are alike. I know there's a few that are alike, but for the most part, we're all unique. That's why Rick is different than like my son's different than I am. And so like my son's, he's very quick. He's extremely smart, but like he has the ability to connect with people really quick, no matter what it is. If they're super smart, like brainiacs,
Hmm.
or like they're surfers, he can connect with either one. He's really good at that. Me, I take longer, but I'm a really good rapport builder. Like I just connect with people. Okay. So either it's connection. Some people are just funny, like they just make people laugh.
Yeah.
Some people are just so super caring, like they just go out of their way. Like my daughter, like she wants to help everybody. That's why she's a nurse. So I'm just telling you, you have something in you and you got to bring it out in wholesaling. So many people try to change to fit somebody else in wholesaling. Like they try to wear a jacket or wear special shoes because that's what the guy who taught them and charged them all this money. No, you just got to be you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really good at connecting with people. It's what I'm best at and I enjoy it. It comes naturally. It's no work for me. The minute it becomes work for you, you're never going to stay the same. So when your friends see your family are like, what is it like that they go, okay, this is why I've on special. It's not sports, like athletics. Like I get it.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
get what you're
different type of
asking.
gift, you
It would
know?
definitely be rapport building. When I did
Yeah.
door-to-door sales for the last year, that was one of the best things they said. They said,
So,
"Hey,
and
you're
I
good
can
to
tell
go."
you're pretty much fearless too. Like you'll like do anything.
I
That's one
can.
of
I'm an
Zach's.
extrovert.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know this about like Zach, but like he's, when he's not doing the live stuff, he's kind of just to himself. Like it's like, and I'm the same way. So like father, like son is like, I go out of my way to help people. When I have my downtime, I'm just quiet and reserved. And it's like, but like I go to a party, something like that, I'll do it. I like to be around people that think like me and like want to do stuff like this. So I have a hard time, and even Zach does, is relating to like people that just don't want to make their lives better. And that's a good problem to have. And you're
Mhm.
at like 26 and you'll solve it through wholesaling. So what I'm saying to you is use what you have. Don't, like, so many people try to learn a new talent. I'm like, dude, just use what you have. It works. Like if you got a lot of friends, you know how to connect people and everybody likes you, use it. Use it to your advantage. And what you lack in experience, you make up with enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm comes through your rapport. And I tell you, the first 2 years, I did deals on people just liking me. They knew I sucked at it. They just liked me. And
Yeah.
that's why I keep telling you, the more people you mingle with, the more people to talk to, the more opportunities you'll have, and you'll do better. And you learn a skill set when you go forward, because the more people you talk to, you're like, okay, I figured this out. I figured this out. Everybody has to go through the journey in wholesaling. I don't care if you pay someone 10K or you work with me and Zach for free. You're going through the journey. I'm just leaving the money in your pocket. You've got to fight and get it done. So you're on the right path. You just got to keep doing it, and you just got to do more of it. Whatever you're doing, just keep, like, I hate the word 10x, but like I tell people, you just need more leads.
Grant Cardone. That's where I first
I
started.
love Grant
don't know if
Cardone,
you
but like
did.
it's true. Like you can't, like, so if you're inexperienced, you have to make up with it in volume.
Yeah.
And what the volume does, it just gives you a better chance, right? So if you were going to play at the blackjack table, if I gave you 100 hands versus 3 hands, well, that's probably a poor analogy because you probably do better with the 3 hands because the house has the advantage. You have the advantage in wholesaling. You can kill anybody in this. Like
Cool.
you will do really well. But when you lack experience, so like I can tell you have confidence because I'm not hearing a lot of ums and like you're not like hesitating
Try
on
not to.
answers. So you seem fearless and you seem like you can connect with a lot of people. So you need to take those 2 things and just run with it. So when you're meeting with a seller like that and you go, I don't understand this, I don't understand that, just focus on the relationship, because that's all I do when I do it. And once you qualify them, you get that information. Most foreclosures, they take multiple visits anyway. So just go on a fact finding mission and have fun with it.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree. I found out that I'm gonna have to probably up my skip tracing because I love True People Search, but when I do the driving for dollars, I'm not getting a lot of numbers that are actually connecting with people.
It's manual. So if you can use the batch one that
Yep, that's what I just actually started. I'm gonna start doing that one.
yeah, so yeah, do that one. And but like, you guys, so many people are like, well, do I use PropStream or batch? Batch is a little bit more sophisticated towards like skip tracing, like an all-in-one. And I tell people that are just starting out, use listrei.com. And people are like, well, you get it. Yeah, it's 7 days free. You get to check it out and learn it. 97 bucks a month. I go, I'm telling you, it's a heck of a lot cheaper than an employee, because you're going to spend $2,000 or $3,000 for an employee to do that. Like, oh, I got a VA to do them. Listen, VAs ain't taking $3-4 an hour anymore. Like, inflation's hit them too. So it's like $7-8 is like the minimum, like even like half decent VA. And I'm talking about someone just pulling data. So use those resources because they work well. I never had those tools. I always paid thousands and thousands of dollars and I hated it. So, and me and Zach are the only ones that give everybody an option. Like, if I tell a company, like, if you don't sell my product only, then don't use me. I don't give a crap. I could care less. I don't run a software company. I've learned over time, investors that open their own software companies, they lose focus of what they're trying to do, which is be a really good wholesaler. And if you get into data, like, I'm not a data expert. I know how to pull data for wholesaling, but that's it. Past that, I would never. It's very complicated. So you're on the right path. Just use your God-given abilities and just increase your volume and you'll do fine.
All right, cool. Can I just ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I know I don't want to take up too much of your time, but so I have family in Colorado, like a lot of family, and I was thinking of going through them and doing virtual.
Well, so you just got to weigh your relationship with your family and what you want them to do and not do. So I can't
really boots on the ground, take pictures, be the person I could trust to hold the phone while I'm talking to them.
Yeah, if you can leverage that relationship, great, but it's going to cost you a little bit. So it's so I have a family run business, but we're all in the same market, but it's and listen, I love family to death, but like, I'm just going to be brutally honest. Most family members don't support wholesaling. They don't understand it. I don't understand what you're doing. So my key to you is don't explain it to them, give them tasks to do and reward them somehow for it.
Yeah, that was the plan.
And don't put them in a compromising position. Like, why is this guy screaming at me? I thought I was just going to get a contract signed. So that's when you go in and either put you on FaceTime or just put you on a speakerphone and go, listen, Yvonne had a couple questions with you. If I would just come by in person, and then and then when you have a challenge, you just go, listen, step outside, and then you have a conversation with them, and then have them go back in. But what your family, like, their limitations, just make sure you don't exceed them.
All right, cool.
But
all right,
well, that's not a bad way to do it. So
cool. Well, thanks so much, Rick. I appreciate you squeezing me in last moment.
Okay. Have a good weekend. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm in overtime here. If you guys haven't had a chance, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give me some likes before we hang up here. Also, check us out on YouTube. You can check out my channel, Rick Ginn, and also Zach Ginn. What we're doing is we're segregating some of the information. So some of the more advanced strategies and some of like just the general information you want to hear from Dad, then tune in to Rick, hit that subscribe button, because I'm now releasing exclusive content on there, and my son Zach is doing it as well. So my suggestion is just to subscribe to both of them. You don't have to worry about it, and you decipher which information you want to get it. So guys, I appreciate all of you tuning in. Go over to freewholesaling.com. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next live. We're going every Tuesday through Friday, 4 lives a week. And remember, we release videos every day. The idea is to make you the best wholesaler possible and get you to your first 100 grand. Guys, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next live. See you guys.